The Flores Twins said when people robbed them, they just moved along. No, they fucking didn't. Because he slipped and said they knew who the boss was. So you might not pull the trigger on them, but you went back and told boss man, such and such just robbed us, and that's where all your dope is. And he's like, all right, putting a hit on him. You contributed to that hit. So don't sit here and say you wasn't violent and you didn't whatever. You fuckers are lying about everything. I asked him, what was the most memorable route that you've ever taken, that you've had? Because they talk about how genius they were at trafficking. Well, of course, El Chapo's tunnels. That's not yours. So El Chapo, what the fuck did you do? What, all you did was oversee the shipment when it got to Chicago to make sure. I asked him, I said, how the fuck you count all that money? Well, we didn't count none of it. Well, what do you mean you didn't count none of it? Oh, no, we had people that do all this stuff. I said, you trusted them with that much money? Well, no, they knew who the boss was. So it wasn't your money, so the boss controlled those people. He had his people in play. So what was your job? Like, what did you really fucking do besides the point that y'all had you overseeing the connections in Chicago and DC and stuff?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Crime and Entertainment. Returning guest, Jason Votrobek. Welcome back, my friend.
Thank you, thank you.
Now, we were supposed to do a part 2 on your story because you kind of have two sides to your story, your smuggling side, then the pill side. But we're going to divert because you have been in every reel popping up in my phone lately where you are just going in on all the cooperators and all the informants, Gene Borrello, the Flores Twins, like you're just going in. What prompted you to start going in hard on all these people?
Okay, let's take it all the way back to day one. So when I got out of federal prison in 2021, I started my TikTok page and it went viral. And it was on just telling my story because it all started, I'm in talks with a big producer out of New York at the time. And they wanted me to put like a minute video together with some pictures and some stuff or whatever. So I used TikTok to do it. I didn't realize when I hit the button, it went live. I thought it was supposed to be private. Well, apparently it didn't. So it took off. It kind of went viral. And I told them, I'm like, man, this video is going crazy. And they were like, well, start pushing your page. It's like really start promoting it. So I started telling my story. How long do you think it took, Jessica? About, what, a month or two before the feds were knocking? So 7-8 weeks in, I gained like, it worked in the first two, yeah, because it was, I gained 50,000 followers in 5 weeks. And the feds came knocking. And they shut my page down because I was on home confinement.
Oh, okay.
So somebody from DC flew down to West Palm. They called me in from work, put me in handcuffs, and pretty much told me, like, you're probably going back to prison over this. And I'm like, what for? And they're like, somebody big is called and complained, and I don't know what's going to happen. So I sat down there for 7 hours waiting for them to figure out what they're going to do with me. In the meantime, somebody made a phone call. I had a federal attorney on board instantly. Everything was in play. They were talking behind the scenes. I don't know what ended up happening. They let me go home. They told me they were going to get back with me. So my federal attorney was telling me that they're talking about sending me back to prison. And she's like, I don't understand how, why, and what they're doing. So then FAM reached out through somebody else and wanted me to do a First Amendment lawsuit against the BOP and everything else because of it. It caused a lot of controversy. They ended up working a deal with me to allow me to keep my social media, but I had to run everything through them first. And I said, absolutely not, because you already know they were going to deny everything. Rumor came out that Purdue Pharma, Sackler family, had made some phone calls and wanted me to quit talking about my story. So I had shut my page down for 2 years.
Any reason why they wanted you to stop talking about it?
I just did an interview with Business Insider. Everybody on Business Insider usually gets 500,000 to 2 million views. Everybody, instantly, right out the gate. My video still is in like 100,000, right around 100, 120,000. And when they dropped it, it was doing really weak, and I had reached out. I'll show you the emails to back it up afterwards, where I'm hitting the guy up. I'm like, man, what's going on and all this stuff. I'm like, first off, when he aired it, I'm like, why'd you cut out everything about Sackler family? I've been holding off. Nobody's heard them stories. Nobody. I've been holding off until a huge platform picked me up to allow me to talk about it. And he was like, I was like, your attorneys asked for the evidence. They were like, we need evidence to back up this stuff. So I gave him all the court stuff, the wiretaps. I gave him everything, where Purdue Pharma was telling my doctors how to prescribe and what to do. This is straight from the Sackler family. The head reps, the head people of Purdue were having phone calls. They were on wiretaps telling my doctors how to prescribe and what to do. Not me, Purdue Pharma.
This is from your time with the pills.
Yes. Okay. So it was in the pill business. So they took it. They were like, well, we contacted the Sackler family and Purdue Pharma, and let's just say after our attorneys talked to them, they wanted to pull everything about them. And I'm like, why? And he's like, well, they needed more evidence. I'm like, well, why didn't you ask me for more? I would have gave you more. I'm like, everything I gave you came from trial. The prosecutors used it. It's wiretaps. There's no way getting around it. He says, Jason, he says, it's bigger than that. So he scrapped it. And then I asked him, so why is the numbers doing so bad? He says, you're talking about a company that has a lot of pull. He says, I'm going to let you read it. He's pretty much said that they're probably spending a lot of money to silence this video. And today it hasn't done anything. It's silent. So it just goes to show you the pull, the power these people have, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that is where this all comes in line, because once I started telling my story and I came back on, when I first started doing TikTok, there wasn't a lot of prison content. And then when I started getting back into it, because I left TikTok alone. And now all of a sudden I see all these people telling all these fake stories about prison, the horror stories. It's like they heard one story that happened 20 years ago or at one prison, one thing, and then they make it out like it's every day. And I'm like, I can't do it anymore. I just can't. So I started calling people out. But Nelson will tell you, I don't target people unless they target me. I mean, Nelson cooperated. So, and I just had another guy on, a bunch of other people that cooperated too. I don't go and target everybody that cooperates. So I want to get that clear.
Right.
What I do is when you see somebody like Gene Borrello, he's the definition of a Guido. I mean, that's the thing about it. Like, the motherfucker is just burnt out. He tells me, I got DMs, and I'll let you read them, where he's like, man, I do this for a living. This is what I do. And I'm like, yeah, what do you fucking lie? I mean, everything comes out your mouth. And he tells people, he was like, to my millions of followers. And if you go in the comments, like, he's so delusional. And this is what pisses me off, because you go in the comments and everybody's like, where's your million followers, bro? Like, here's your things, add them all up. And he tells me all the time, like, you're just a fucking hillbilly, you're just this. And I'm like, ding, 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 ding. I'm like, dude, come on, can you do something better than that? He also goes and says, I'm buying my followers, right? I'm like, bro, I got more followers than you. And he's like, how? I'm like, add them all up on all my pages. Take my channels, add them up, and I got more than you. Mm-hmm. And he's like, well, I've been doing this for 5 years. I'm like, I've been doing this for 1.5 years. So what the fuck is your excuse? And he's like, well, you pay for yours and, all these things. But the problem of it is I have with them, the Flores Twins, they are lying about their past. Mm. Okay. So when you dive into these people, they want people to like them. Okay. Mm. Gene is doing something differently. Gene just lies about everything. Gene literally comes on and everything comes out of his fucking mouth's a lie. You can't back nothing up. You dive down his story. He talks about he shot 19 people. He hasn't shot fucking nobody. They call him everybody in his hometown says he misses. He's the type of person, he'll go and he'll shoot in the air and act like he shot at somebody. And he'd be like, oh, I shot at 19 people. And it's like, bro, shooting a gun in the air is not shooting at somebody.
Yeah, so is he making it? Because I've interviewed Gene about 3 or 4 times. And I don't think in any interview he ever told me he shot 19 people. Now, he said he shot at people. That's different. Like shooting 19 people and then shooting at 19 people.
Well, that's what I meant. He shot at 19 people is what he's saying. But when you go into all this stuff and everybody that he did time with, like a bunch of his guys that he did time, Nelson, I've shown Nelson, the pictures. All these guys send me pictures of doing time with him. And all these guys telling me different stories. Put it this way, nobody backs his story up. Mm. Name one person that's ever backed his story up.
In what regard? Like what
all the stories he talks about.
I mean, A-Light's backed up some of the stuff that he said in the street. So, like, I know there was a big controversy. He went on Adam 22. no jumper.
Yeah.
And he said that he had 2 bodies. Well, a lot of people got on him in the comment section. It was like, where are these bodies coming from? Because you never talked about him in any show, not mine, not Matt's, not anybody's that he's been on. He's been on a lot of platforms, even Vlad. And one of them he didn't really expand on. The other one, he said he hit a guy in prison, and then the guy, I think he said he was on something. I think me and you talked about it. He said he was on something. He had wound up having a heart attack. So, like, to start with, I don't know if you claim that. If you do claim that, you could have got charged for it. But that's where that come from. So I don't know if he was just excited to be on Adam's show and maybe spoke up a little bit or embellished, but he never mentioned bodies at any point in time on mine.
Here's the thing about it is how can you get on a platform? And I understand because he says it in my comments in the DMs. He's just like, bro, I do this for a living. This is what I do. I'm just an entertainer. I love causing controversy and being at the top of the thing.
Right.
So it just goes to show me, that tells me 90% of your shit's a lie. And I'm tired of these people coming on here, and we're going to get back into Flores Twins and what my problem is with them also is because you got to remember, people are following these people. People are looking up to him. Now, is it a small percentage? Maybe. Is it a large percentage? I highly doubt it. The point that I'm making, there's some kid out there, like I looked up to the drug smugglers in my younger years. I used to sit behind them, sitting around a campfire and thought that shit was cool, okay? Well, you're going to cause some kid, because I did time with a lot of younger kids, that if they'd have known the truth, they wouldn't be doing a life sentence or 30 years, right? And now they're sitting in there like, oh my God. So if I can bring light to one kid and expose them to a certain extent, because not everybody can expose these people because they don't have squeaky clean paperwork. And as soon as they bring something out on you, nobody wants to listen to you anymore, right?
Right.
So it kind of like fell in my lane. I didn't look for this, but when people start coming to me and asking me to do things on them, they're like, Jason, can you bring a light to this? Because it's lies, it's this, it's that. And a lot of people don't want to bring light to it because of their past or their employment or something else, or their platform doesn't take off. And and Nelson will tell you, I always say, give me the facts, make sure that it's legit, and then I'll do it. But other than that, I'm not doing it. Think about how many kids, if it's 5, 10, or 20, we don't know, that are looking up to Gene and think what Gene's saying is cool. And they go out in the streets and do supposedly what he was doing, right? And he's on social media talking about it. So what does that tell you? Oh, he didn't get much time, or you don't get much time in prison, right? Why don't these guys tell their viewers, like, hey guys, like, yeah, I did all this dumb shit, and you can get life if you don't cooperate like I did. The only reason why, because I had a lot of people to cooperate on, is the reason why I'm still out here. Or not, I'd be doing 30 years like all the guys I put away. I mean, do you agree with me?
Yeah, so you're saying if they just own the facts and what they did, you wouldn't have as much as an issue. It's the fact that they're glorifying the wild shit, the crazy shit, the violent shit that they did, and then they just chose to cooperate, throw some of the people that they either considered friends or family or whatever the case in jail, and then get on and try to, glorify that part of their lifestyle. If they just own the facts and what they did, you wouldn't have as much of a problem with it.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Why do you think I don't target Matthew Cox?
Well, you did a little bit.
Well, we're going to get into that. The thing is Matt comes out and owns what he did, right? And he'll say he'll do it again.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's no guesswork in
There's no guesswork. There's no nothing. It's like when Matt sent me the picture of you and him together. Like, Matt sends me stuff, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say he's a fan of mine, but for some reason, as much as me and him have bumped heads, we've bumped heads since day one. Yeah. I mean, literally bumped heads. It still blows my mind when I see a text from him. I'm thinking, like, how in the world does this guy still even think my name in any positive way he wants to send me something? It blows my mind.
I don't think it bothers him really, though. I think people have talked shit about him for so long. He's just got super thick skin, and especially if you're in this game,
he has no heart.
Well, I mean,
I don't think he does. When somebody says, I'm going to give up everybody and anybody.
Well, he said he wouldn't get up his wife, so I mean, there's got to be something there. You got to have a heart if you wouldn't.
That's
give up
today,
your wife.
maybe not tomorrow, depending on how she pisses him off. Okay.
I don't know. He's probably pretty scared of Jess. Jess is pretty tough. She's tough, bro.
She might be tough, but we know what happens when the handcuffs came on her too. Okay, so
I actually don't know about her stuff. I've never interviewed her. I want to.
I'll tell you this. She has a wild story. Her upbringing is very god awful. It's sad. And whoever did it should be punished to the fullest. Okay. I'm going to create a T-shirt for that, and it will be on Dope Boy Empire. But the reason why I had a problem with Matt is because he idolizes, or I'm not the only one that says this, but he has like people like Derek on, Nolan, like all these guys that are just absolutely.
That's the guy that was in the pill game with you.
Yeah,
okay.
he was just a security guy that tries to be bigger than who he is. He lies just like he should be on the same category as Gene Borrello. Like the dude was a junkie in prison. Okay, the dude was a junkie in prison. He acts like he didn't cooperate. If you watch his story, it's so long, it's hard to decipher it all. I was going to break it down, but I don't want to give him no recognition because he's a nobody. He's not making waves. He's not nothing. The guy lies about, we'll just bring in the first lie. He's like, man, they told me to pack out one day. They just told me to pack out. And I was like, where the fuck am I going? They fly him all the way back to Miami to ask him and tell him he's going to cooperate. The Flores Twins says that don't even happen. Yeah. Because Owens,
quarterback king or what?
Quarterback king.
Cocaine quarterback, whatever.
Owen Hansen, he tried to say the same thing. They just came and knocked on my door, and it's like, come on, guys, like you cooperated. Just tell the truth. Quit lying. See, you wouldn't have pushback, and you wouldn't have people doing hit pieces on you if you would just be like, hey guys, I agreed to cooperate. They came and got me in the middle of the night. They shipped me to Miami. Once I got there, they wanted me to say things that wasn't true, and I refused to do it, and that's why I didn't get no credit for it. Just tell the truth. But he wants people to believe, and Nelson, I tell you, you ever heard, you didn't do much time, but you've heard a lot of stories. How many times you've heard where they just come take you in the middle of the night? That's not what happens. So I interviewed a detective, and he'll tell you, we do not even waste our time going to get somebody out of prison and bringing them back because it's money, it's paperwork, if we don't know what they're going to say. You pre-tell them, it's called proffering.
Right.
They're not going to even waste their time entertaining you because what they're going to do is they're going to call over a conference phone call. They're going to bring you in a room. They're going to have a speakerphone, or they'll show up to the prison, or they do Zoom now. And they're going to say, tell us everything you know. They're going to interview first to see what you know before they even waste their time doing that paperwork.
That's the queen for a day thing, right? Where you tell everything. Yeah.
You tell everything today. It's called a proffer, so everything you tell cannot be held against you.
Right.
You sign a piece of paper, you can admit everything and anything you want, and there's nothing they can do about it.
And the whole deal with that is you're not supposed to omit anything, because if you do and it comes out later, then your whole deal is shot to shit.
Yes, so you have to give up everything. It's a strategy they use to get you to testify things they don't know nothing about.
Correct.
And these guys want people out there that are listening to these things to believe this is how it works. What's a lie? I have a problem with people lying like this. Why don't we just tell the truth? And that's where I give Matt a lot of his credit, and I don't go after him on a lot of this stuff, is because he is bluntly kind of truthful about how cold-hearted he is, okay? And the reason why I targeted him is because Derek had talked about something about my daughter. You leave people's kids out of this shit, okay? Everybody agrees. It just goes to show you what kind of thing. And Matt should have a heart, and this is where I know that he has no heart. Because when I call him and I'm like, Matt, dude, like, he's like, oh, I can't do nothing about it. I have no control in this and that, blah, blah, blah. And I just like thought it was like whatever. And I'm like, Matt, this is my daughter. Like I don't care what you do. You can do whatever, but don't talk about people's kids. You don't get to talk to your kid. You told me the whole story about your son, and you went through the same things that I went through. Your ex turned them and all this other shit. You probably did some things. I don't know. I'm not getting into it. He refused to. So I get into it with Chad Marks because Chad's another one that sits on here on social media and acts a certain way, but meanwhile, he cooperated, and his wife wrote lots of letters. It all came out. It got blasted. I didn't give it to Trotter, but he blames me for it, caused a lot of things. Then he wants to act like a gangster. Matt is one of them ones that wants to sit on social media and like, oh, hey, da-da-da, and then act like this shit's not cool, all the crime and all the threats. And he does all these pieces about this stuff. But then meanwhile, he comes in our DMs, ask Nelson, comes in the DMs threatening us nonstop, didn't he? I'm like, well, fucking show up. He said he was going to fly down here. I'll be there. What did he say? He'll be there Friday or whatever?
Cox?
So, no. Freaking Chad Marks.
Chad. Oh, okay.
So Chad says he's going to fly down, and he's going to bring his homeboys and all these other people. So we all show up at the clinic, or not the clinic, but the studio. We all waited on him. We're sitting here waiting on him. He never shows up. He never thinks. So he calls Matt, and they all talk about how crazy and lunatic I am, and how nobody can control me, and that somebody needs to do something to me. And I told him, well, why don't y'all do something to me? Like I post where I'm at. I don't hide nowhere. I'll go anywhere. I went out to fucking California and ran into Owen Hansen's boy because I have a lot of beefs with him because he lies so goddamn much.
Which one is that?
Oh, we're gonna get into it. So
I mean, I know Owen, but who's the boy you run into?
his boy is it's a black dude, Tank. They call him Tank.
Okay.
So he was on his case. So Tank has been to prison multiple times, and he gets a 10-year plea deal with prior drug cases. Well, everybody knows with priors you get a min-man 20 in the feds. Okay, so like we're not going to even try to dive down his thing because there's sealed documents. There's all kinds of shit, and you can say what you want. But anyways, Tank walks into the room. We're at Big Herd doing the podcast. I just finished. We're talking to Big Herd. Tank walks in with this other dude. Supposedly he's the head Crip dude of New York. That's what he introduced himself as. I have no beef with this dude. I don't know who he is. So Tank walks in, solid black. Looks like he's on the squat team. And he's got cocaine quarterback written across his shirt and his hat. And I said, damn, the police just walked in the building. And he was like, I guess he thought because he was dressed in all black like squad. He's like, oh man, yeah, you know. I'm like, no. Cocaine quarterback, your boy. He's a fucking rat. He's like, what? And he starts like really getting aggressive. And he like puts his drink down, starts getting closer. So I put mine down and I sit there. And he's like, whoa, no. And Nelson over here is like, what the fuck? I can hear him like in the back. And Big Herd's got his head down, and me and him are like, I'm like, bro, dude, your boy's a rat, dude. I said, he's going out here lying, and he cooperated, and he acts like a fucking gangster, and he wants to come in my DMs when I did a piece on him and act fucking tough. And he's talking all this shit. I said, they're all fucking tough, and they all want me to come and meet them. Why do they want me to come meet them?
Set up.
Because now I'm the aggressor.
Yeah.
Right? I'm the aggressor.
If you go to where you're not supposed to be, then you're going to be looked at as the aggressor.
Yep. So you think I'm dumb enough to fall for that? No, I'm not. You want it, you come get it. If you want to meet mutually, then we can do that also because now it's an even thing. So you can't say like, oh,
both parties had the initiative to meet each other.
So you can't just whatever. But here's the thing about it. I don't meet rats at all, okay? Because I already know how this works. I've already been down this road. You meet them. They're calling the cops if you get the better hand, you're going to jail because they know how the system works. I'm not calling. I'm not going to talk to them. I'm not going to sit there and say whatever. I just don't do it. I'm going to let my attorneys talk. But the point that I'm making is I said something to him. He started getting really aggressive. I don't know. How did it diffuse? Okay, Big Herd must have, because we started talking, he's like, oh, he came out and talked to us. No, he fucking didn't. Nobody's seen the clip. Apparently, there is a clip, and I ended up doing some hit pieces on it because he gets really excited about cooperating. He's like, they came to me and was like, oh, you know, like, do you want to? He's like, do I? And he like comes flying out of the seat, so I did a whole piece on it. And this is a guy that wants you to believe. And I interviewed a detective on this one too, and he wants you to believe that he went from 27 years he got, or 26, 3 years. I don't know. He went all the way down and he got 14 years taken off, or 2/3 of his sentence off, by talking on about a dirty lawyer in another country. Well, I just want you to understand that a dirty attorney, a corrupt attorney, that's civil. That's a bar complaint because he didn't do what he was supposed to do, or he said, I told him because he gave me bad advice. Mm-hmm. That's not criminal. It's not criminal. So you're lying to everybody what you cooperated. Even Flores Twins did a piece on this and was like, bro, nobody gets that much time off unless you give up El Jefes. Like, you got to give up big people to give up 2/3 of your sentence has to come off.
Yeah.
You had to give up somebody really big.
A big fish has got to fall for you to get that much. A minuscule, dirty attorney or lawyer or whatever the case is not going to justify that much time being taken off.
So that's another issue why I have a problem with Owen Hansen, because he comes on, he acts, he does all this stuff. He's a great storyteller, but his story falls apart. I'm a kingpin and I was making all this money. Even Flores Twins were laughing about how much money he was making a day. And he's like, dude, I was making 10 million. I was moving, what did they move? 60 tons or something, 60,000 pounds or whatever. They moved over $2 billion for El Chapo, right? And they were only making $10 million a month. So I have to respect the Flores Twins telling the truth on some stuff, right? Like, they bring the light to a lot of stuff, but they don't want to bring light to their story. That's where their story comes apart, and I have an issue with them, and I expressed it.
Now, you went on their show, though, right?
Yes, I went on their show.
So I think me and you spoke around the time you were supposed to be going on there, which, I mean, their show is pretty big. So to get on that platform was a big step, but you kind of...
Well, he follows me. He follows my content, which is kind of weird that he follows my
beforehand
content.
or after, or still?
I don't know. Before.
Yeah, they followed you before, so you got the interview. Did you aggress that or approach that in the interview, or you just went through the interview as normal?
Okay, so what I do is to get on a platform like that, people are like, oh, man, like you were kissing their ass on the thing. And I'm like, dude, if I would have came off aggressive...
They wouldn't have invited you.
They would have never had it on. Am I correct?
Yes, 100%.
So most podcasters and people know if you're going there to attack them to do stuff like that, they're not going to have you on.
Correct.
So I did what it took to get the interview. And I was very respectful during the interview, and I was trying to ask questions. I started getting really frustrated because they would never answer no questions. And I'm like, why the fuck are they dancing? So I kind of like massaged them and talked about my story and other things and patted them on the back, you know, they're fucking good. They're good. I mean, these boys, they're able to think before they talk. Let's just say that.
Well, I think to be and operate at the level that they were, you kind of have to. Like, you got to be trained
disagree.
in that. Really?
I disagree, yeah. I've dealt with a lot of big people. I did time with a lot of big people. They move differently over the years. You learn how to move.
Okay.
It's just like a company. You start out as a young kid in a business, and you learn to grow in that company and understand the trade. Am I correct?
Yes.
So it's same thing. You're around intelligent people, you become smarter than everybody else, right? The whole saying says you are who you hang around.
Yeah.
You're a criminal. If you hang around criminals, you'll become a criminal. If you hang around smart people, you're gonna become smart, right? It's just like me. I didn't know nothing about the drug trade. I got into the drug trade and I learned as I went. As I met people, they taught me new stuff. Okay. Didn't mean I was smarter than everybody. It just means I had better teachers. You know what I'm saying? I became smarter. What they have is something that not a lot of people can do. As in, learn not to answer. And that comes with, let me back this up. My girl will tell you, I don't ask questions. I don't ask questions about stuff. I don't say a lot of stuff. I'm very preservative in like how I talk. I get on to her because she says too much. It comes with the business. So as you move up the ranks and you've been in the business, you learn not to ask questions because then they think why are you being so nosy? Okay, one. Second of all, you never give up too much. You learn not to answer questions because your life is a what? A lie. When you're in the drug game, you're hiding everything. You have to bullshit everything. So you learn, and people are like, oh, it's really smart and it makes them really smart. I'm like, no, anybody that's been in the dope game for a long period knows your whole life is a lie. So that's how you know them boys were doing things because they don't answer nothing. And see, what really irks me about it is you cooperated. You told on everything supposedly. Why are you still hiding? Why won't you talk about your case? You want a movie done. You went on a podcast with 50. You want all this stuff done. You want to talk about everybody else. You want to talk about they do hit pieces on everybody's story. You know, sizing them up. But you know one person they won't do a story on? You?
So that interview that you did, y'all finished it.
We finished it. It was like over 3 hours?
And they posted it?
They posted it.
And then that's when you kind of done your piece on them.
No, I had no intentions to do a piece on them. Where it all fell apart is in the comments, their people came after me hard.
Okay.
So I started responding to it in the comments. You know, it's hyping it up. It's a promoter.
Yeah. It's like the fight game, UFC game, Conor McGregor.
I really didn't have a problem with them. I wanted to actually get to know them a little bit better and ask them off the record, why don't you talk about these things? Why don't you do these things? If you're really truly wanting to help the youth and you really want to move forward, why don't we do these few things, like work on these few things, like, you know, bringing light to these things and let's do it together. It never got there because now I look back, I feel like it was a hit piece on me. They wanted to find a way to shut me down. That's why they didn't answer nothing. That's why they set me up the way they did. I kind of felt like afterwards, it's like, damn, dude, I actually went into this thing actually not trying to get dirt on them and to actually see if we can work together to do something big down the road. And when I started the comments. I'm like, holy shit. And I told him, I'll show you the things where I did Chai. His name is Chai or whatever.
I know you're talking about.
I told Chai, I said, boy, your fucking people are vicious, dude. I'm talking about vicious. And he's like, yeah, well, the twins are not happy with you. I'm like, what? Dude, all I'm doing is responding to these things where they're coming after me. And then instead of talking to me in the DMs, he went straight to the comments to start roasting me. So I was like, all right, that's how y'all want to play? You got the right motherfucker. Let's get it. And so I just went ham on. I'm still not done with them. I figure out the algorithm. You have to go hard on somebody for a little bit, and then you pull back. Then you go hard again, you pull back. If you continue to post about something, the numbers go down every time you do. They get worse and worse. What you do is you hit hard, you back off for a little bit. 2-3 months later, I hit hard again. The numbers are really good. Nelson tells me all the time, he's like, dude, you don't post for weeks sometimes. And you'll post a video and it goes fucking nuts. So the algorithm, people say you have to post 3 times a day, is a lie. It's about what you post in your hook lines.
Yeah.
Okay, it must work for me. So
it was a special case.
So Chai, I'm working on Chai, but I don't want to give him recognition because I was going to go hard on him. I dug up some dirt. I called some people from Chicago. I found out some stuff on him. The problem with Chai is I don't want to promote his channel because he first started out as a Mexican rapper or whatever, and he was not successful, and it was horrible. Then he got into podcasting, and he started talking about the Flores Twins, and the twins came on the show. So his whole show was built on the Flores Twins only, nothing else.
Right.
And so, and I understand whatever, but he's nobody. So I don't really, he's somebody in his community. Let me take that back. I don't want to say he's nobody. The point that I'm making is that why am I going to bring light to him when my issue is with the twins? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm going to end up eventually going back in on the twins because the twins have a little secret that they're not telling everybody, okay? Their name has been brought up in a lot of hire to hit to kills, okay? And they're like, well, we were never charged with it and the feds never did nothing. Well, let me explain some how the feds work. Let's go back to Sammy the Bull. He got, 5 years or 7 years for 19 murders?
Correct.
So you agree that they would allow, to get big fish, they'll let things go, right?
100%.
So you agree with
That's your
me?
biggest explanation or case study on that. 19 murders, and they basically let him essentially walk to get John Gotti, whom had evaded them a couple of times at trial.
Okay, so you're going to let a guy that's killed 19 people, you know what kind of deal should be on the table? We don't give you a death penalty.
Yeah.
You serve the rest of your life for to kill 19 people. That's what normal Americans get. You know that, right?
100%.
But since it was John Gotti and they had such a hard-on for this guy.
And they had missed a couple of times before.
They missed a couple of times. And they wanted to take him out so bad that they allowed a guy walk on 19 murders. Think about what it did to the families.
Oh yeah, they felt. I'm
Betrayed.
sure I'm sure they probably hate the government at this point.
Yeah. So
Because I think it's been largely proven. I don't know how much you've dove into all that, but I don't think Gotti probably ordered. I'm sure some of the murders that Sammy done may have come from Gotti, but largely it was him gobbling up businesses. Like from Robert D.B. Bernardo and a lot of those guys, he would just take over he would take them out, take over their business.
So you agree with me that Sammy probably blamed them all on John Gotti so he can get that deal and better thing?
Oh, I'm sure he did.
Okay, the reason why I say that is because a lot of people have cooperated in my cases. A lot of people cooperate outside of it. So when you go to trial, I don't know, 3, 4 months, 5 months before trial, you get the last dump of the real shit before trial. They're never going to give you the dirt until they know you're absolutely going to trial. So I got to see all the people that were trying to cooperate against me, and none of their stories panned out, so the feds couldn't use them. So it just goes to show you, so many people are trying to jump on my case and act like they knew something and they heard something and trying to jump on it, right? So these guys that cooperate are really smart, as in like knowing how the system works. Going, well, I could just be like, well, Jason gave me that dope when it really wasn't him, and I can, just be another hit, stab in the, in the chest to take him out. But the feds usually want a little bit more because they know that our attorneys are pretty good. They will crack them on the stand. I don't think not one of my witnesses held up on the stand in neither one of my cases. They all fell apart. But it doesn't matter. It's still about painting a picture to the jury.
Well, see, you were able to get out of that. John couldn't because Sammy was his number 2. I mean, he was in the inner circle. Pretty much, he could prove any and everything to get John.
Well, my number 2 is the one that took me out too.
Okay.
In my second case, I was number 2 in the first case. That's why I won. Zach was number 1. I was number 2. So the number 1 tried to take me out, and I was able to take him out with the jail phone recordings and everything else, and I was able to take him out. But when you're number 1 and you're the target, it's hard when your number 2 is coming on and saying all kinds of stuff. I even proved him in so many lies and had him fold up on the stand. It doesn't matter. It's like all they have to do believe is one of his stories. Just one. That's it. They don't care about the other 10 that you proved wrong. It's like, oh, but he did do that one. And that is where you have a hard time beating the feds. So we get back into the whole thing with the Flores twins. So you know who Jay's wife is, right?
I've heard of her, yeah.
Do you know who her ex was?
No.
Cato. It's Cato, right? Cato. So Cato was the Flores twins' main distributor. I got to watch what I say. Cato is the one that had all the... Don't beat me up in the comments. I'm only going off of what I read, and I've had people from federal prison that are doing time on this case. The twins told... I mean, I've had some pretty high-level phone conversations, so I got to watch what I say, how I say it. So Cato supposedly was the hub. He was the main guy, okay? And so he was the guy, that reason why the Flores twins were so successful is because they were supplying him and he was supplying all the gangs. So he was the main guy that all the gangs went to get their supply. So he was Jefe of Chicago to a certain extent. I imagine there was other big people too, but he was, in his category, he was Jefe.
Right.
And the twins were supplying him. So Cato's wife, after they put a hit on him and had him taken out, guess who marries her?
The twins.
Jay Flores. So let's alter this a little bit because I don't want whatever. Somebody in the family contacted me and said that they were having an affair and Jay and them were getting really close because he was close to Cato because they were supplying him everything else. And they blame it on 100 and key something shipment of cocaine that he took. But rumor has it that Jay wanted his wife and they wanted Cato out the way so they could be the hub, take out the middleman, and supply all Chicago because they couldn't take over Chicago with him controlling in play. And this is coming from family members, and this is coming from somebody on Jay's conspiracy also too. The person that used to deal with Cato, and then when Cato was taken out, Jay stepped in and took over all of Cato's supply routes.
I mean, from a strategic standpoint, it makes sense. If you want his wife and you want his business and he's in the way of you getting all that, you create or concoct a reason to be able to do that. You execute that plan, you get everything you're looking for.
So what's weird is that the word on the street, Jay takes out Cato, and the wife is not upset.
Yeah, why wouldn't you despise
No, she goes
man?
and starts, you would think that she would despise it and be like, why'd you do this to me? Why'd you take the man I love? Blah, 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 blah. But no, meanwhile, they're instantly shacked up in bed.
That could raise some eyebrows.
You think? And then all of a sudden he takes over all the supply routes.
Unfortunately.
So
somebody's got to do it, I guess.
Not a lot of people are talking about Cato's control in the city, how big he was. Like I said, I don't want to give up too much because these people have asked me not to. One of the guys was going to be on a prison jail phone call and allow me to interview him from the prison phone.
Wow.
We're supposed to set it up and actually do it here in the studio.
Okay.
It's something that's going to be in the works. So Jay, let's go down a little bit even deeper into this thing. So through my intel through the years, I did time with this guy named Rob. And he was kind of on their case. In a way, his paperwork had it. He was on a big fraud case out of Chicago. He's really big in Chicago play. I've never heard of the Flores twins in my life until him, and he's talking about it, and that's how I found out. And through the people I did time with that are on their case said that the Flores twins were still moving product, trying behind the feds back. They get busted. They were supposed to get less time during their sentencing, but they tried to move a 500 key shipment behind the Fed's back to put a little bit of money away. And the Feds knew about it, but they allowed it to happen because of the amount of cooperation that they were giving. They were just going to just hold it against them in sentencing, what I was told. So that was something that I've heard through people on the case, through their attorneys, backdoor stuff. They're not going to expose it all. But this is where it backs up that this is true. So one of the main co-defendants on the case that was pretty high ranking with the Flores Twins, a big distributor, hits me up from federal prison. Mm-hmm. And he tells me that they never snitched on me. They were protecting me at first. So the Twins didn't tell on everybody. They try to protect some people. Why would you protect them?
I guess you like them to a certain degree. If you wouldn't. Or they know something on you that you don't want them to come out.
No, because you're cooperating and you're telling them everything. What the fuck does it matter? Okay. Because you're still running an operation, and if you still want to be able to make money and
you got to keep those people in play.
You got to keep them in play. Right, they're the people that you trust the most, you're loyal to, and everything else. Because let me explain something. The Twins never got busted.
Yeah, you get them jammed up, it messes up your deals on the streets.
If you truly want it out of the game, you give up everybody.
Right.
All it boils down to is the Twins, they never got busted. They approached the Feds and told them everything. There was a warrant for them, a reward for them, because they had some indictments out there. Mm-hmm. But it's not like they got apprehended and then cooperated. They went and turned themselves in and gave up everything. The Feds said they didn't even know how big they were. They thought they were just small level. They didn't realize they were on that level. Mm-hmm. So the point that I'm making is that they are telling everybody, and they told me that they had a choice. When the cartels went to war in 2006, they had to pick a side, and they knew whatever side they picked, the other side was wanting to kill them. Everybody else was willing to go to war. Them two pussies were like, absolutely not. We're not going to war. We're just going to tell on everybody. Okay? So what they did was they went to the DEA. They started wearing wires, started taking everybody down. They got everybody on recording. I don't know if you know that. El Mayo, El Mencho, they got everybody on recording. Like, they're the founders of all these people getting arrested since they've been arrested, since they took down El Chapo, is because of them. You know that they're behind El Mayo getting kidnapped and brought into the country. Mm-hmm. He slipped and said on the podcast that he's in talks with El Chapo's son, still to this day. You don't think he's not coordinating? Because I'm hearing through a good source that he's the one that was helping him coordinate that whole thing. Why else would you be talking to him?
Yeah, not too many other reasons.
So he admits to me that he helps people cooperate and get paid for it. He helps people give up organizations. He helps people become paid confidential informants too. He gives them the connects. He gets a percentage. He consults people doing that.
That's a huge business.
So you don't think he didn't consult El Chapo's son?
I'm sure he did.
So you're going to tell me, because I just created a shirt that we're going to put on the thing about United States, but here's the thing you got to realize. So you're going to tell me somebody on El Chapo's son's level, with the amount of money and attorney he's got, that he's going to go kidnap somebody without a deal being worked out first? You think he's that dumb? No. So do you believe when the government says they're not going to give him no cooperation? They just don't want people going around the world kidnapping a bunch of people, bringing them here, thinking that they're going to give everybody. So I'm wanted. So I'm going to go find somebody that's on America's Most Wanted, kidnap them, bring them, and be like, oh, so I can walk. They don't want people just showing up with bodies all the time.
Yeah.
You agree with me?
No, 100% on that.
So they're going to come out and say that. But meanwhile, we don't condone kidnapping, but we go and kidnap Maduro.
And bring him back.
And we bring him back, but we don't condone it. Nelson did a hit piece on it. It was fire. Ever since then, I've been in love with it. I was like, dude, Nelson beat me to the punch. He got me. So the Flores twins opted out of going to war. Mm-hmm. They could have picked a side and just went to war, but they opted out. They decided they wanted to take everybody out. You notice they only took everybody out that was after them. Well, if you're truly out of the game and you want to change your life around, do you pick and choose, or do you take everything? You give up everything.
Scorched earth.
So do you believe that they're truly were wanting to do the right thing and move on with their life?
Doesn't appear to be that way.
Ask Matt that question. He'd tell you I give up everybody.
100%.
Because the goal is, if you truly want to walk away and you're truly trying to change your life, you give
Why
up,
save any relationship?
you give them everything. You don't start moving drugs behind people's backs, because we're going to dive into this a little deeper. And this is where I have an issue. When the Flores twins finally went to prison, what did their wives get charged with?
I don't know.
Money laundering. So if you truly gave up that life and you truly wanted to start over, don't you give up everybody and all your assets? You don't hide money, right? Remember, it's dirty money. You want to move on with your life, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let alone that they're moving drug shipments behind the Fed's back to make sure their family's taken care of, because they still want to proceed from the drug things. They just don't, they want everybody else to suffer while they get their freedom and still live a lavish lifestyle. So they go to prison and supposedly give up everything, but their wives are doing what out here? Living large. Read the articles. Living large. They're out here living large. They're traveling, house, cartel wives, driving Bentleys or Rolls Royces. I mean, living large. They get in trouble because here we go again. Their older brother just can't stay out of trouble. So the older brother gets in trouble. He cooperates. Let me tell you how scumbags these people are. So he can't stay out of trouble. He sees what happens to their brother. Then he goes and does something and he gets in trouble. So he does what? He gives up his sister-in-laws. So instead of targeting somebody else, he targets his own family. So he gives them up. The sister-in-laws are flying back into the country from the islands somewhere down there. I don't want to say the wrong name. Cakes and Kirkos Islands or
Turks and Caicos.
Turks and Caicos, somewhere down there. They're flying back. The federales are waiting on them. They have a leisure. They have a book that has a leisure with nothing but money. So what's the leisure? Is it a leisure? They don't want to tell us that all the people that still owe him money, or operations that are still running and they're trying to collect and run the operation? Like, or is it a leisure of a bunch of bank accounts where all the money's going, where all the money's hidden and stuff? Like, what is this leisure? Mm-hmm. So they get indicted. And he wants to talk about, oh, they're just going to prison because they were spending our money. Yeah, the money that you were supposed to give up, the money that you cooperated on. Why is it that you get to keep the money and think that it's all right that they get to keep the money? So you want people out here to believe in these young kids. Here we go again. You want these young kids to believe that we did the right thing. We cooperated because we want to change their life and everything else. But don't look over here. Don't look over here. So, but we are still moving shipments. We're still protecting certain people so operations can still run or whatever it is. And we're hiding money and our wives go to prison. And you got to read the article and the statements they said in some of the podcasts about how their wives were targeted unfairly and about all this money and everything else. It's like, no, dude, your wives are out here spending and hiding money for you. Yeah. You lied. When you cooperate, you're supposed to give up everything. Yep. And they say that in their things about everybody else. They're dogging everybody else for this, but meanwhile, they're getting charged. But they don't want you to see it. They try to cover it up, and they don't want to talk about it, and they keep the spotlight off of it. So I have an issue with them lying to these youth and making it believe like we only did 12, 13 years because of this. But meanwhile, why don't you tell the truth? Yeah. I wouldn't have a problem with you. So it's like, at least they haven't threatened me in the comments or the DMs like the rest of them do. The rest of them threaten me, and I'm just like, bro, my address has been doxxed. You can find it. Jake 1090 doxed me, and he doxed me on my video. And I was like, bro, if you think I'm going to take my address down and delete it, you got me fucked up. I'm not a bitch. I'm like, it's easy to find somebody. He DMs me one time, and he says, bro, why don't you have your house hidden in an LLC and this and that so nobody can find you and dox you? I said, because I'm not a bitch. I'm not running from nothing. Every fight that I pick and things that I've done, I'm ready for the smoke. It is what it is.
So he commented on one of your videos and put your address on.
Yeah, and I refused to delete it. I refused to delete it. Yeah, and then he asked what he made dinner. She says, you're too fat to sit at our dinner table. And I said, and so then dude, Jake 1090 hits me back up because he usually responds to me. He hits me back and he's like, bro, dude, like I've been hitting the gym, losing weight. And I said, my old lady said you're still fat. And he's like, God, man, y'all are ruthless, dude. Y'all are tough.
So like these people that you go in on seem to like still like you, some of them.
Because it's not personal. Since you've met me, and the few times we've sat down, tell me your honest opinion about me.
Brutally honest. And that's something that most people aren't these days. Like, even if they have an opinion, they won't necessarily voice it because I think most people just want to get along and keep things smooth. I'm not saying you want to keep things bumpy or you want to create the controversy, but you're not going to not say what you feel.
But do I disrespect you in any way?
No, not in that type of way. You just call somebody on their bullshit.
Yeah.
You're not going to be outright disrespectful to somebody just randomly.
Ask Matt how I am in person. We had a big falling out, all kinds of stuff. And then when I see him in person, I still talk to him I still respect him like a human being. It's just like that dude I called his boy a police. We ended up talking afterwards. Tank?
Yeah.
Me and Tank, we squashed it. We had amends and we went on our separate way, didn't we? You agreed to, like, it's not personal. Mm-hmm. None of this is personal. What I have an issue is when I'm that young kid sitting behind them guys sitting around the campfire listening to these stories and not knowing that half them guys cooperated and that's why they're still there able to tell their story.
And they're not being truthful about that part of it.
And I lived up to it. And then my first time with the feds, they asked for life. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, what do you mean life? I was never told life. But if I would have known differently, I probably wouldn't have done what I'd done. And that's being honest.
Right.
But I'm still a fucking criminal. Like, I was a criminal from day one. I did criminal stuff. I knew I was going to prison. You can ask everybody around me. I knew I was going to prison. I just didn't know I was going to go for that fucking long.
So how did Gene get on your radar? Because, like, you don't typically have any kind of interactions with the ex-mob guys.
No.
So, like, Gene's here in Miami, but how did Gene get on your radar?
Nelson, you remember? Because I have so many beef things. So I have to go back, but I want to say it was probably one of my loyal followers, multiple ones. I usually don't, if I don't have a personal thing where they come out, it's usually about 10 or 15 of my guys come after me and ask me to comment on somebody. Mm-hmm. And then when I comment on them, I just comment. They usually come in my DMs or come after me.
Right.
And they'll send me videos about something they say, and then I just do commentary on it. Like, that's not true. Like, this is not how it works. And then they get in their feelings and they hit me up talking about, you need to quit clout chasing. And I'm like, listen, dude, we're all in the business for clout, okay? If you are talking about somebody else and not just telling your story, you're clout chasing. Mm. Jake 1090's clout chasing. All his followers are like, you need to quit talking. I'm like, dude, your guy is clout chasing. I'm clout chasing. Such and such clout chasing. We're all doing it. So don't sit there and say that you need to stop when your dude's doing it, right? Mm. I want to say what happened is that there was a video. I probably commented on it or said something in the comments or whatever, and he came after me. And that's when the door gets open. And then when they come after me and they can't take my brutal comment that I have, it's nothing personal. It's just my opinion. That's when I usually call Nelson and I'm like, this is about to get interesting. And Nelson just keeps laughing. And he's like, I don't understand. Like, they see that your videos do good and you go after them. You would think they would just be like, hey man, I'm just, whatever, and try to keep it cool and keep it moving. And Gene said some dumb shit. And he wants to bring in like that I'm dating my girl. He said, you're 16 years old or 17. He said that she was 16 or 17 years old. And that I have a sex charge and all this stuff. And I'm just like, if you want people to believe all your other bullshit, at least tell the truth about me.
Yeah. Like,
you can't sit there, and I won't defend it because what am I going to defend? Like, I think it's funny that you came and that's what you come after me. Like, and then I'm in this comments and literally in his comments saying, my name is Jason Votrobek. That's my picture. Jason Votrobek. Google me, look it up, go to my link tree, do this, do that. And he deletes them all. He deletes them. So then I video record me in his lives, confronting him in his lives. And he refuses to answer them. And I'm like, show me your ankle monitor, fucking pussy. And like, show everybody, you fucking liar. Like, I'm in there and I'm recording this shit, dude, because he says he's on house arrest. And the reason why he says he's in that, because he doesn't want to have to be forced to meet somebody or show that he's a bitch. Because, he's a pussy, okay? Everybody's did prison time with him, said he was not tough in prison. And I can show you the comments. I'm not going to blast these people because they asked not to be, but I'll let you read it yourself. They got pictures with him. They said he was a punk. I got a video that I'll give you, and I'm going to release it, of him getting chased off Atlantic Beach by some young kids or whatever. He chased into his car because they're going to whoop him instead of fighting.
That was in New York?
Yeah.
I've seen that.
Oh, you've seen that one?
I've seen that.
The guy lives in Florida, not New York. Listen, I went back to my hometown. I walked the streets in my hometown. If you're such a gangster and you did all this stuff, why ain't you living back in your city? Why are you running down here? You're running because you know you can't go back there and everybody says you can't. This dude's in his comments, dude. He says his shit. People in the comments are calling him out. He's like, dude, you get like 60 likes. I'm like, bro, I just got 3,000 likes off your video. You paid for them. I'm like, have you read your comments, dude? Like, are you fucking that delusional, dude? Like, I'm telling you, like, I'm going to call Wikipedia and try to find a way to, when they put Guido in, the definition is this motherfucker. Like, it needs to be Gene Burrito, the Guido. Because, I mean, dude, he makes the mob and he makes everybody up that way look bad. Everything comes out of his mouth, it's a lie. And I get it. I understand he's an entertainer. He makes me laugh with it. It's so outlandish that he makes me laugh. He doesn't make me angry at all. When he comes in my shit, dude, I just keep laughing because the guy, how are you going to sit there and say charges about me, but there's no hit pieces on me, there's nothing to back it up and all this stuff. Like I tell people all the time, people come in my comments, DM me like, hey, can you talk about this person? And I'm like, I can't talk about it unless you give it to me in black and white. Because I don't want to be known the guy like Gene Burrito that just says shit that's not true and you can't back it up. But at this point, why does nobody in New York back up his stories?
Well, I mean, honestly, the mob is not even really at the level that it once was back in those days.
It doesn't matter, but why is nobody, but everybody backs up Sammy the Bull's stories. Everybody backs up John Gotti's stories. Everybody backs up all these other people's stories. You can literally go find where they back up all these things, but fucking Gene, everybody dogs him out. Everybody makes fun of him. Dude, they don't like Sammy the Bull. But if you notice, all the people still talk about the things that he did and back his story up, even though they call him, he's a fucking rat piece of shit. He's this, he's that. But he did blah, 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 blah. Nobody does that, Gene. You know what everybody says? Everybody talks about, they're like, you want to hit him hard, but I don't want to go after people's family, so I don't go into a peace sign. They're like, you want to hit him hard? His dad died on an Indian reservation. He wasn't Italian. He was like part Italian and Indian. And he ran out of New York. They ran his ass out of New York, and he ended up going back to the Indian reservation, and he's buried on an Indian reservation. His own dad got ran out of New York. Go look it up. All the mob guys, every mob guy's reached out to me and told me all kinds of stories. The guys that did prison time with this guy gave me so much dirt on this dude. He literally started some shit, or some shit got started, and he was crying to the one guy, talking about, man, I'm going home soon, man. Like, please don't, like, I just want to make it home, man. I just want to make it home. Like, bro, you want to be a gangster? Let's be a fucking gangster. Like, don't be a bitch when you want to be a bitch. He is let's dive down a little bit deeper than this. So him, Owen, and all them, it's like a playbook they all have, these guys that cooperate, right? So when I asked Nelson, when I found out he cooperated, I said, Nelson, what? And he said, Jay, I just didn't know no different. He goes, they already told on me. And everybody, they already knew everything. He's like, they knew everything. I was the last one to fall. He's like, so what am I going to do here and just be quiet? He's like, they already knew every fucking thing. So I just told them everything they already fucking knew. These people already told them everything. So why am I going to sit here and like, whatever? And I'm like, I get it. I understand. But how much time are you looking at? And he's like, this much. And he's like, trust me, I wish I just took it on the chin so I didn't have to live with this. And I'm like, I get it. I understand. At least you're being honest, right? You know what? All the ones that come in my DM and act tough, you know what they all say? They all say the same thing.
What?
They're like, hey, bro, like, you would have done it too if you had life. That's why I made that video. I'm like, I was looking at life. Well, you would have done it too if you had a family. I had a family. I had a daughter. I had a woman that I was in love with. You know what I'm saying? I had that. I was looking at life. Well, you'd have done it if your partners would have screwed you over. And I'm like, every one of my co-defendants cooperated against me and I still didn't do it. Name one story or any situation of any organization where they didn't get told on, somebody in the organization didn't screw them over, or they didn't have a family.
Everybody pretty much has that happen when you're at that level. I think when people start to turn, and you can't, it's like those things when you, especially with the mob guys, like when you take that oath, when you become made, like you're not supposed to do none of that. So just because they do it, or you supposed, like John Gotti would have never told in a million years. John Gotti was the head of the Gambino family. He knew the inner workings probably better than anybody else at that level, maybe other than the chin. And he would have went, and well, he did go to prison and literally die in prison from what, actually the guy I'm going to be interviewing soon. I was going to ask him about that. Rumors that maybe even he got, food fed to him that gave him cancer in prison. He wouldn't have said fuck all about anything. But those types of people are very, very rare in this world.
No,
that would do that.
and I have a lot of respect for John Gotti. He's the only one of the mobsters I have mad respect for. And the daughter Angel interviewed me, and I talked to her quite a bit. Angel's really sweet.
So let me ask you a question with that. Now, you've talked to Angel, and you respect John. What do you think about John Jr.? Because people, here's the issue I have, right? A lot of people go after a lot of people that cooperated. They hate Sammy because they put their father away, which justifiably so they should. But John Jr. sat down and proffered with the feds.
Okay.
But nobody seems to want to dive in on that because...
I did. I did talk to Angel about it.
Okay, so
we
what
did
she
talk
say?
about it. And I told her, I said, Angel, I respect your father a lot. Okay? I'm like, I want you to truly understand more than half the reason why I didn't do what I did is because of knowing your father, like knowing about your father, right? I said, I didn't know Junior cooperated at all because I talk about his book. I'm not going to say who did, but I read Junior's book and it hit me really, really hard. I was in the show and I was like, holy fuck, I didn't believe this shit's true. Somebody else went through what I went through fighting the case. Like me and his stories, it's not the same, but it relates to the same.
Right.
Okay, how the feds work, how dirty they are. So I had no clue. I don't know much about the mob. I don't follow the mob. I'm not a mob follower. I'm not none of that. I don't idolize them. I don't look up to them. There's a reason why, and I've said it before. The thing that I started to find out about Junior is Junior thought he could be smarter. Because in his book, he talks about this, but he didn't talk about proffering and all this other stuff. And his dad was really upset with him about taking the plea deal.
Oh, yeah.
And so John thought he could be smarter from what I understand and proffer about a bunch of stuff that people are already dead and there's nobody can get arrested because nobody got arrested from it. Right. Nobody could get arrested because it was whatever. And he thought he could be smarter and talk about a bunch of stuff that they could never come to fruition, right? Am I correct with this or am I wrong?
Yeah.
So, but here we go again. The only way you get credit, and this is where I felt like John Jr. should have been smarter or what he was thinking, I don't have a fucking clue, is that the only way you get credit is if you're actually able to get a conviction.
Conviction.
So you're giving up information to never give a conviction. What do you think? What do you thought you were going to get something from this? You're smarter than this, John. Like you're smarter. So did he do a Hail Mary thinking that? I don't know what to think of it. Did I tell Angel that his cooperation? I said 100%. I can't hold him differently that I hold Jake to 90 filling out the grievance after the fight. He said, well, it's not cooperating in state. In the fucking feds it is, okay? In the feds it's called cooperation. Anytime that you put on a piece of paper, in the feds, you go back there, you shut the fuck up and you lay down. If you get a shot, you get a shot. If you don't, you sit back there in your investigation, you shut the fuck up. You don't make no statements, you don't do anything. So did he cooperate? Did he talk? Yeah, it's a form of cooperation. After, people say that now that I've been out and I talk about my story, is that cooperation? No, because I'm not cooperating to the feds. Are they listening and hearing it? Yeah, but there's nothing they can do about it.
Right.
There's nothing they fucking do about it. He actually sat down with them. He did talk, thought he could be smarter. Did it have any convictions? Did it get anybody arrested? No. Did it fuck him? It actually fucked him because they think like, well, you think you're fucking smarter? It's a form of cooperation. I'm not a John Gotti, never was a John Gotti Jr. fan. I don't know nothing about him. I haven't read the documentaries about him, none of that stuff. So I knew I didn't know nothing about John Gotti Jr. until I read his book in the shoe. And I was like, holy fuck, dude. And I was so amazed of his story that I told Nelson that I wanted to meet him one day to ask him some personal questions. And I asked Angel, and she said she could make that happen one day because I want to meet him and talk to him about strictly the book. Because I want some answers answered from somebody else that went through what I did to see if he has the same thought process as I do, how they work and what they do.
Right.
And, but here we go again. I don't care if you cooperate. I just want you to tell the truth. I want to know who I'm dealing with. Nelson came out and told me everything, and I looked into it, and I just know that I'm not going to do no fraud with Nelson. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to fraud. Nelson's not a fucking criminal. Right. I'm not doing crime with people that are non-criminal. Be honest with you, I'm not doing crime with nobody anymore. Every one of my closest friends cooperated against me. So it goes to show you I can't trust anybody.
Right.
But Angel understood it. Angel agreed on I wouldn't say agreed because it is her brother, but she understood where I was coming from, I felt like. And we came to a mutual agreement. But John Gotti's not out in the spotlight. He's not out there bragging about it like Gene Burrito. Like, dude,
Right.
you can't put yourself in the spotlight then get mad when I come after you.
Right.
Owen Hansen, you can't sit here and come out with this elaborate story. You know, at the very beginning, he went and talk about cooperation.
Mm-hmm.
Did he really think that people were just not going to look and say, hey, like, forget about the 14 years taken off or whatever it was?
Oddly enough, I think a lot of people do. And I think when you have the opportunities to go on, like Matt's over 1 million followers now. And so when somebody goes on Matt's show, especially if they've never done a podcast before, I think their first initiative is I need to go on there and impress. And to a certain degree, maybe everybody embellishes a little bit. You went out to a bar and you drink 9 beers. Well, when you tell the story, it was 15 beers. But some of these guys go above and beyond way more than what it is, not knowing that there's people like yourself or other people, 1090 Jake to a degree, that will deep dive your ass and out everything that you're saying. And so people just got to understand, just because you have the opportunity to go on a big platform, no matter what it is, soft white underbelly, Vlad, Matt, no jumper, like you got to come with the facts and the truth because people will dissect that shit. And then when you lose all credibility, who's going to want to hear from you anymore?
Yeah. So when Owen finally came out, well, first off, he talks about I made $1 million a day. Well, the twins are one of the biggest drug smugglers, traffickers in the United States. One of them, not all of them, because think about it. The same amount of drugs are coming to the United States, if not more right now. So there's somebody bigger than the Flores Twins, okay, that are moving it, making it. With Ryan Wedding, we're going to get into him a little bit. So what I'm trying to say is that the Flores Twins were on a bigger level than all of us combined, besides Ryan Wedding and a few others. They had a direct connect with El Chapo and them, right? And they're only making $10 million a month, but you're making $1 million a day. Like, get the fuck out of here. George Young only made $50 million over his time, and he had a long span, and he was doing big fucking things.
Yeah, I mean, dealing directly with the man.
So, you know, the Flores Twins made way more money than George Young, and George Young probably moved more drugs than they did and everything else. But the profit, I don't know. I don't know what to make out of this. So when you come out and say that I made $1 million a day, right then and there, I'm like, bullshit, okay? The Freeway Rick Ross, his story falls apart. The dude cooperated on this first one, and he got away with it by saying, and it's funny because 6ix9ine says, like, oh, he's like, long as it's them, but when I come out and say it or I do it, it's a problem. But then he, you know, he has that viral video. He's like, I told him about such and such, and they justified. Then when I showed, blasted such and such, and they justified it because of this. And then they justified it because of this. And he's like, but they don't want to hold me to the same standard. Mm-hmm. I get what he's saying. But Freeway Rick Ross got in trouble for the second time, right? And Freeway, when you look into him, because somebody sent me the articles, and I have Freeway on my phone. I've talked to him a few times. He tried to cooperate. Look it up. It's public record. He tried to cooperate, and the feds were like, no, we're not using your cooperation. It wasn't good enough. But you can't sit here and say, I only gave up dirty cops. No, the second time you tried to give up people because you didn't want to go do 30 years. So you tried to give up a bunch of people, and you try to cooperate. And this is where I have the issue. It's like he's out here talking about he was making $1 million a day, making all this money, but like what's the name said, there's no pictures. You're telling me you're keeping your money in back of cars. How many millions can you fit in a trunk? Because back then it was all 5, 10s, and 1s and hundreds, you know, and 50s. Not many hundreds because it was all crack money and everything else. Mm-hmm. So you would fill up a trunk in no time. So you're making $1 million a day and you had years run. So you had $500 million and cars just all over the place parked. Like, get the fuck out of here, dude. Like, it's not believable. Every cartel person, everybody will tell you they have a hard time with money. Like, it's the hardest thing to move around. It's the hardest thing to get rid of. It's the hardest thing ever. And it's hard to believe that you were making that kind of money, but there's no pictures, no nothing to back it up like everybody else has. You're hiding it in cars, not stash houses. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. That part really mind boggles me, but here we go again. He likes to talk about he only gave up dirty cops, but why don't you talk about you were trying to give up everybody the second time and the feds didn't like your cooperation? Owen Hansen.
And you're saying that's public record that you can look at. He tried to give up people were these
Nelson, look it up.
Were these people within his organization?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Look up Freeway's did Freeway Rick Ross cooperate on his second case, and ask ChatGPT that. So here's the thing that you have to realize and understand. Owen comes out and tells this elaborate story about him making $1 million a day. How many drug deals did he talk about in the stories?
A lot.
One. He's a great storyteller. I'll give it to him. He's great. This fucking guy came out and talks about one operation. One. He could get the drugs there, but he couldn't get the money back. And I made fun of him and saying, bro, you're such a big kingpin and you're making all this money, but you were fucking so stupid you couldn't get the money back, or so smart.
He cooperated in the 1990 Cincinnati federal case.
What about the second one? It says that he tried to cooperate but didn't get no time because of the cooperation.
His cooperation was substantial enough that federal prosecutor later described complete, candid, and forthright. His original 121 months dropped to 51 months in March of 1992.
Yeah, but when did he start? When was his second bid? Because it was later. So the thing is like Owen talks about one thing. So I came in the comments, I said something, he came after me, and I was like, all right, now the gloves are off. Like how are you in the public eye? It says in Freeway Rick Ross' second federal case in 1995, undercutters reverse sting that ultimately led to his 1996 conviction. Ross did attempt to cooperate with the government after his arrest. Right here. It says, according to Ross, his own accounts, his court history. Dude, I got to get glasses. It's getting bad. He offered to provide information and sought out to attain reduced sentence. However, prosecutors concluded that he either did not have information they consider singularly valuable or that he was unable to provide substantial assistance leading to other prosecutions. So, but he doesn't talk about that. Nobody asked him about that. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't look for these people. When I tell you my DMs, Nelson will back this up. Nelson, how often is my DMs full? I send you pictures of all the time. I get phone calls from federal prisons. Dude, it's insane. I had one on the way here. Like, you need to call me. Here's my number. I got some information for somebody. I just had somebody call me about Gene Burrito, knows him from, actually sent me a prison picture, knows him from the streets, everything else. Everybody calls him a lie. They said he's the biggest fucking clown. They call him what? No miss or no shoot, burrito or whatever they call him or something like that. He's notorious for like pulling up, shooting in the air and acting like he's trying to take somebody out, but he just shoots in the air. Owen's the same way. Owen comes on, tells this elaborate story about all this stuff, and it's a great story. But then when you really dissect the story, and it's like, I was making $1 million a day, but I only talk about one drug transaction. And I went from 20-something years and only did 7 or 8 years or whatever it is. And it's like, and he lies about how they came and got him and all this stuff. And anytime that you call him out, the first thing he says, quit riding my coattails and I'll give you a signed autograph book. That's all he says to me every time. Quit riding my coattails. I'm like, riding your coattails? Like, bro, I've been doing this longer than you. And I'm like, my case is bigger than yours. I didn't cooperate. And like, what do you mean? I'm kind of lost. And I'm like, I'm just commenting on your stuff. But the point that I'm making here is that if I went into Matt's comments, well, Matt taxed me first. I'm going to show you. And I called him out on it. I'm going to show you. So that's another thing. So Matt came in one of my comments one time. I know I'm all over the place. But I'm pointing a picture out here and I'm going to back it up. Matt came into my comments and wrote this thing about me, about being like crazy and like he doesn't want to admit to the truth and he's just in la la land, like living this whatever. And I laughed about it because when his wife hit me up to come on the podcast, and I'm like, me and Matt talked multiple times and we've had some falling outs, and he told me I can't talk about cooperation on his thing. She goes, he would never do that. I said, then he came in my DMs and started talking shit about me. I said, I've never targeted this guy. I've never said one bad thing about him. She goes, he wouldn't do that. Doesn't seem like him. So I went and found it, and she's like, yeah, that's something. That's him. And I'm like, there you go. Like, even Matt targets me. Like, I don't even know. Like, Matt was coming to my comments and targeting me.
This is before you ever went on the show?
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, obviously I've never seen it, but he typically doesn't do that. Like,
but it goes to show you, Nelson, have I not one person I've targeted, not came in my DMs. Like people are like, bro, how do you get them to come in your DMs instantly? Or how do you get people to hit you? I'm like, I have no clue. I don't know if it's because I'm this clean cut white boy, no tattoos, not a gang member. I don't fit the image of like Jake 1090 with teardrops and look like a gangster. And people are just like, they can't figure it out. It's like, I've never met a head of a cartel, a mob guy, or anybody that's a big figure that has tattoos and looks like what you see in the movies. That's a movie thing. It's Hollywood.
Yeah.
Every big person that is a real gangster is clean cut, suit wearing.
Yeah.
That they don't go and put a dick on their forehead and be like, hey, look at me. This is me. You know what I'm saying? Like,
they're not going to stand out like that. They leave that to the guys up doing the lower work.
But you agree with me?
No, 100%.
So they're like, who the fuck is this white boy doing this thing? And it's like, yeah, it's Jason Votrobek. I don't hide my name. Like, my name is, so I started Dope Boy Empire is the reason why my channel changed, and I can't change it back for whatever reason, because my TikTok shop is Dope Boy Empire, and they changed my name. Mm-hmm. So it kind of pissed me off because I don't hide under another name. Like, this is my face, that's my name, and I'm from Vero Beach, Florida. I tell everybody. So I have this thing is just like in prison. If you tell the facts, like you can't go and say you're a rat and not have the proof. They're going to get you. Mm-hmm. So I don't go around and saying stuff on people that I don't have an opinion. Be like, well, you said that. I'm just giving you my opinion. I'm not going to go and blast you unless I have your paperwork. And I just want people to understand that I just give my opinion. This is nothing personal. Some of them made it personal.
Right.
But I don't have a personal beef with Gene. I laugh at him and I think he's funny and the shit he says is retarded and he really truly believes his lies, I feel like at times. But do I let them get in my feelings to where I'm going to go and meet him and fight him and everything? Absolutely not. Like, I don't let him consume me, but every time he does something retarded, am I going to fucking do a hit piece on him? Absolutely.
So you're saying this isn't personal to them, the person. It's just attacking the mistruths or the
if they would come out,
saying.
If they would come and approach me and say, hey, Jason, I want to come on your podcast and let's talk about all this stuff. And I can get them to agree that we need to start. They can tell their story however they want to tell it. They can lie about it.
And then you go in and
but
ask the tougher stuff.
No. But come in and say, I thought I was a man until the handcuffs came on. The reason why I'm here talking to you today is because I cooperated. Is because I did X, Y, and Z. For everybody out there watching and you think my story is cool, you need to hear the second part of why I'm here today. Mm-hmm. Is because of this. And this is why my story's great and it's cool and it's entertaining. I want people to be entertained. But I want you to also know the only reason why I'm here telling it is because of this reason. And tell people so that you see this. I mean, do you agree with me?
No, I do. And me and Nelson had dinner last night and we were talking. And I was saying, like, everybody's reasons for cooperation is different. And some of them, like, I can say, I see and I understand. There was a mobster, and I know you don't know a ton about the mob, but his name was Wild Bill Catolo. He was with the Colombos. Very respectable guy. A lot of people loved him. He was feared, but a lot of people loved him. When they had what they referred to as the Colombo Wars, he was taken out. Now, his son was up and coming in the mob. When it happened, he knew who did it. The guys were coming around, like, rousting him for money, trying to get his father's books, trying to take the money that his father had on the street, even hitting on his mom at the time. So Bill Jr. was not arrested. He was not in the crosshairs of the government. He didn't get arrested and didn't want to face the time. But he worked with the feds to take down the two people that had his father killed. I can understand that to a degree.
Can I tell you why?
And the reason why I brought it up is because I want your opinion on it.
Okay, so you agree that becoming a mobster, you know the rules of the game.
Yes.
You agree with that, right?
Yes.
You leave law enforcement out and you handle on the streets, right?
Yes.
Do you agree a lot of people think they're a gangster and become a gangster and realize that they can't live up to it and then they have a change of mind?
I mean, yeah, it definitely happens. Yes.
So you agree that a lot of people probably join a gang and then when shit gets real, they're like, I'm not cut out for this.
Yeah, I think it happens a lot.
But they understood. Okay, so let's take it an even step further. So we're going to jump into the Chad Marks thing. So Chad Marks joins a gang in prison. I think the Dirty White Boys.
Yes.
Okay. So you agree that he watched and seen a lot of bad stuff go down, and he still joined the gang because he watched beatings, stabbings, killings, like everything, right? You agree he's seen it, right?
I'm in that prison. I'm sure he did. Yeah.
He's
I don't
seen
know
it.
a ton about Chad.
I'm not saying that I'm not talking about Chad in personal.
Right.
I don't want you. This is not for Chad to get mad at you at all. What I'm trying to get at is you agree that when I join a gang in prison, I already know a certain amount of what goes on in
I'm
the
sure
gang.
you have to be aware of the ins and outs and the repercussions.
And let's just say in the first 6 months, you probably see everything that you need to know about the gang, right?
Yeah, 100%.
And you continue to stay with the gang, right? Well, when the knife gets handed to you and you're told to go put your work in now, and then you try to justify it, well, they wanted me to stab this person up over $50. And I just was like, I'm not stabbing somebody up over $50, but you just watched it happen 20 times before or heard 30,000 stories of that same thing. You still joined that gang and thought it was cool, but it's not cool when it's your turn to do it for $50.
Mm-hmm.
You can fuck your time off and might get another 10 years over it. But it was cool when everybody else did it.
Mm-hmm.
My problem of it is this guy joined the mob. He worked his way to the top, right? Would you agree that he probably put hits on other people and killed other people or knew about it or had some say in other people getting killed?
If you're referencing Bill Jr. in the example that I gave you, no, he wasn't at that level. He was a lower level guy.
Bill Jr. was, right?
Bill Jr. was a lower level guy. His father, Wild Bill, was that guy.
But he joined the mob knowing that all this stuff goes down, right?
Yes, I would say that's the same.
Okay, so he joined the mob and thought it was cool, but it wasn't cool until his dad got killed and they were trying to take him out. So then he was like, instead of handling it in the streets and doing, because this has happened to other mobs. You agree that he heard a million of these stories before he got into mob.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And he knew that these things happen, right?
Yeah.
So my point of it is that everybody wants to justify it, just like what Gene and Owen and all these other people are like, but they fucked me over, so I got them back. No, dude, so you act like you're the first person this happened to? No, it's happened. You knew this. Everybody knows when they get into the criminal, just like me. I knew I would be getting told on one day. Mm-hmm. But didn't mean I was gonna be like, well, if I get told, I'm gonna go telling somebody else.
But to Bill Jr.'s credit, he has said since then in the interview that I did with him and Chris Colombo, he said that he hates the fact that he did it. It eats him up every day, and that he knows the feds played on his need for revenge on his father's death, that
Agree.
they played him against them.
Agree, 100%.
Yeah.
Nelson says the same thing.
Yeah.
Same fucking thing.
So,
But it's just a different word, same meaning. Am I right, Nelson?
I got I don't know how much you've looked into this case at all. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. So it's almost like, I guess, a challenge for you, because I'm curious to see what you can come up with. A big thing right now, and I covered this case with a guy named Pete last year, and it just kind of resurfaced with the whole Whack 100 thing, talking to a guy named Cuffy, who's incarcerated right now. Cuffy claims that Big Meech cooperated on him, which is why he got sentenced to a longer prison term. Do you know anything about this case at all?
I do know about it.
And the whole Tammy Cowan situation and all that. What are you up to speed on?
Okay, so I haven't dove into it.
Okay.
This is my take on it. Is Rule 35 a real thing? 100%.
Mm-hmm.
Is it sniffing out like it is? 100%. Tammy hasn't came out and made statements. I think she has, but she hasn't. Mm-hmm. I think when her and Meech had a falling out, she said some stuff. Am I correct?
So she did say, like, she alluded. It's like the truth is coming. She didn't necessarily say something specific, because apparently 50 said he was going to drop a documentary with her on that, and that to this point is never materialized. But see, one of the big things is, and I'm sure you know about this, there's third-party cooperation where your girl's in jail, she sets up a guy to get busted, you're going to benefit from it, correct?
Yep.
That's how that works.
Yep.
All right. In the case with Tammy was getting paid. She was getting paid by FBI agent Cromer,
mm-hmm.
all right, who she also wound up fucking, which put a wrinkle into this whole situation. So if Tammy is getting paid directly, that is not a third-party cooperation on Meech's behalf. That's a first-party cooperation with Tammy. She's basically a certified CI.
Can I explain something to you?
Yes.
That could have been a business deal between Big Meech and Tammy to make money.
It could have been.
He could be setting up all these things, making these money, so he's filling his bank account and making extra money.
And it could have been, but he didn't receive a time cut for it. Hypothetically, if you're right, he might be getting paid.
I'm going to tell you this. We've looked. Nelson, we went down a dive with Kyle, and we couldn't find no time reduction. He got more time off than when he was supposed to for some reason, but it's not in there nowhere. But Meech.
So he got a time cut when they changed the sentencing guidelines.
Mm-hmm.
That was the biggest time cut that he got. And even when he got out, he wasn't out. He was still on home confinement for a year and a half. I've looked through his time. There was no time cuts.
I'm going to explain this to you, and Nelson will back this up. Meech, I'm not saying that this happened, but I want to bring to light how this shit works. We had somebody on. I confronted Allie. What's Allie's last name? Adam Zopound, one of the founders, one of them. So Zopound is one of the guys when you hear about in my story about getting kidnapped and then them trying to kill me.
Mm-hmm.
They blamed it on Zopound. So Zopound shows up. Allie shows up to our last studio, and I find out he's there and he wants to wait to see me. So I show up. I walk up. He put his hand out. I shake his hand and pull him in close, and I whisper to him, "So you're the one that put the order to take me out?" And he kind of like just looked at me and laughed. So we sat down and we talked, and I've held on to this recording where I confront him about, are you the one that was trying to kill me? Are you the one that was trying to take my shipments and take me out? He didn't deny it. He didn't confirm it. I don't know nothing about him. Didn't know anything. My DM started loading up with information. It took a while to find it. Me and Nelson found this fucking thing. I showed Nelson where it was at. We found it. My girl found it. Before it even got put out there anywhere, we had it, did we not? Because I was told not to drop it, leave it alone, all this other stuff, because he didn't do anything to me and all this other stuff didn't cause no problems, so leave it alone. So I left it alone. I was asked from some people to just drop it because somebody else was going to go in on it, and I guess it was Trick Daddy or them did. Trick Daddy and some other people were going to go in on it. He cooperated. They waited till the time that he would get out. And they did it under a compassionate release. So they filed a compassionate release and gave him his Rule 35 or his 5K in the passionate release. So you have to go into passionate release and look for it inside that. So they sealed it. So they agreed that he would get a time cut, but because of who he was and where he was going to go in prison, he would never get to walk a yard and they would kill him. So the feds are notorious for giving you your time cuts, but hiding it and giving it to you later so you walk out the door with the time cut. Mm-hmm. Big Meech doesn't have this because it didn't show up later. See, in Alley's, it's there. You can see it in the paperwork, and they did it in a compassionate release. So they gave him his time cut 17 years or 19 years later?
No, he did 18 on the 30.
Yeah, so he did 18 on the 30. So they waited 18 years. He files a passion release, Rule 35 in it. They granted it. They hold him in the shoe, and they kick him straight out the door. So the feds, I've heard these stories, but I haven't had proof. We found it. Now, Meech's, they could have clearly worked a deal with that. They gave him his time cut on that Rule 35 through, listen, we'll do it through the sentencing guideline changes. Mm-hmm. So normal people would only got probably, let's just say 6 months. We'll give you, whatever, or we'll do it through there so it doesn't show up on your record.
But the thing is, like what we referenced earlier, you're talking Big Meech. He was at a high level. You would think for someone of his stature, his level, to get any sort of time cut, he's going to have to give up somebody big.
No. In order to get a lot of time off, you got to get. Owen Hansen.
It wasn't even a lot with the sentence reduction.
So
it was only like 4 years or 5 years.
I get it. So hear me out on this. Let me explain this to you. Big Meech had a 30-year minimum mandatory, I think. Correct. So how the fuck you get under it with the sentencing? Even if the sentencing guideline changes, it changed to me. I didn't get no less because you have certain statutes they have to abide by. The only time you can go under them is cooperation. So say what you want to say. At the end of the day, he signed for 30. I think he had a 30-year minimum mandatory. So he got the low end of it. First off, for being a kingpin is crazy, okay? Mm-hmm. If you're as big as he was and doing all the things, whatever. It's none of my business.
They copped to a plea. Terry didn't want to do it. Yeah. Or actually, I forgot. One of them didn't want to do it, but it was.
Can I tell you this? Meech. Did Terry get the same amount of time cut as Big Meech?
Terry got out earlier. He got out for health reasons.
He got health reasons.
Yes.
But did he get the sentencing reduction same amount of time as Big Meech?
I'm assuming so.
I'm going to be honest with you. If Terry got less, this is going to be the telltale. If Terry gets less,
I think they both got the same.
okay, then he didn't get no time cut.
Yeah.
The reason why I say that is
Terry
because,
just got out before Meech due to the health.
yeah, but that's health reasons.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about the actual time reduction on the resentencing. If Terry didn't get that and get the same amount,
then
you
something
know
for-
there's
yeah.
something going. That's
So-
the only where it comes from, and you haven't
Right.
heard nobody else talk about that.
Right. That makes
avenue.
perfect sense. And I don't think they both got the same thing. Because in that case, Meech probably could have fought it and won. But if he did that, his brother's fucked because his brother was the one that was on all the wiretaps or all the phone conversations and all that. Meech, to be as out front and as public as he was and on billboards and things like that, was not on a lot of recordings.
Can I tell you another thing that what people do? I'm not saying that Meech didn't do this. I mean, Big Meech, right?
Yep.
People get really pissed when they're in prison and somebody's out here living large and spending money and
Correct.
and was he talking to him like, hey bro, take care of this, do that, and he's like, fuck you, and doesn't do it. Then he's like, fuck it, let's take him out and let's make the money on it. That shit happens all the time. I'm not saying that's what happened. I'm just saying it happens all the time. I will tell you this. Cuff is not going to make that accusation that somebody his statue and has the paperwork. But why hasn't the paperwork been exposed? It says CI and they can prove that it's Tammy but here's the problem is how are they going to prove? I know that they're saying that Big Meech set this deal up from prison on a cell phone. There has to be, Cuffy's going to have to get it, and he should be able to get it because he went to trial, I think, or whatever. He should be able to get that information and be able to expose it because it has to be out
The wiretap
there.
application.
Has to be there.
And so I've talked to Cuffy from prison. I've talked to him on the phone. I've talked to his daughter. The last correspondence I had with him, I said, if you can produce, not the copy from the Franks hearing, that's public record, anybody can get that. If you can produce the wiretap application, which you have to have, then that'll put all this to bed and it'll end all this argument. And I never heard back from him.
Yeah. But here we go again.
Now, the fact that the only thing that in my mind raises questions, right? It's no debate whether Tammy was a CI. Mm-hmm. She put Terry White in jail. Mm-hmm. Why Meech gave her the rights to the BMF franchise over anybody else in his camp, his wife, anybody, is a head scratcher to me. I would like to ask him that if I ever got the chance. We know she was dirty, but even with Cuffy's case, like Cuffy only got arrested because he robbed the guy that he was doing dealings with. When that guy called Tammy to say, hey, why the fuck did Cuff just rob me? She was with Cromer. Other than that, Cuffy probably would have never gotten in trouble.
Really?
Yeah. When Cuffy robbed Suarez called Tammy and was like, what the fuck is going on? Your boy's run off with a couple keys and I haven't heard from him. She was in the car with Cromer because she was fucking him. That's how Cromer even knew about the whole damn thing.
So Big Meech just came out and said some pretty lavish, you see that viral clip? It's gone around and says, what's the most money you've had all at once or whatever? And he said $500 million, 500 million.
Mm-hmm.
Like your whole conspiracy was supposed to be $250 million conspiracy over that 20-year span. How the hell did you have 500? Like this is the shit that falls apart. Like you have a great story, Big Meech. Why are you making it fall apart?
Well, I interviewed a guy named Rand Searcy who was he headed up all the surveillance on that case. According to him, a lot of Meech and them's they had a lot of counterfeit money that they were mixing with the drug money that they were using to go to these clubs in Atlanta and throw it around. Now, I'm not saying that's fact. That's what he said.
So I didn't know nothing about Big Meech, any of them, until I hit the spotlight in Atlanta in 2008, 9. Once I started moving my operations to Atlanta, we were showing up at all the strip clubs they did. My spot was the Pink Pony and this other place. I don't know the name, but it turned to Mardi Gras, but it was something before that. And then the legendary, the one
112.
The one sent all the rap videos and they sing about all the time with
Magic City.
Magic City.
Yeah.
So I'll never forget. We wanted to go there one time, and dude, it was it's magic. It's funny. I only went once, never went back. But anyways, make a long story short, we started blowing a lot of money. So a lot of strippers are like, "Who the fuck are these kids?" Like we literally dropped a helicopter in the parking lot one night. dropped a helicopter in the fucking parking lot. They flipped out. My boy Zach gave him $1,000 cash. Like, shut the fuck up. Whatever. Anyways, make a long story short, these girls are asking questions. Like, who the fuck are these white boys here blowing all this money? We don't know nothing. So start asking around. Well, these girls are all Big Meech's girls. They were all Big Meech's. They got pictures with Big Meech and the whole crew and everything else. Because we later on, like, who the fuck is Big Meech? They're like, they kept asking, who are you? Nobody in town knows who y'all boys are. We've asked everyone. And we're like, well, who the fuck do you know? And they're like, you know, Big Meech and the BMF boys. And we're like, no. And they're like, so that's when we had. So I went and watched the episode Gangland. I'll never forget. I watched the episode Gangland. I was like, oh shit, these boys are pretty big. So we started to get to know the girls really good. And they started telling us about how they would show up and just blow money, throw money. They would literally walk into a club, sling a bunch of cash, and turn around and walk right out instantly. And they had all these girls working for them, doing all this stuff, everything else. And Meech was doing big things. Don't get me wrong. He was doing big things. But here we go again. Like, when you tell stories that you had $500 million in cash at once, like in your conspiracy says it was only $250 million, like now you're taking your story and water, you know, fucking it up. Mm-hmm. And they're saying he's broke and he don't have all this money, but then he's living in a $6-7 million condo here in Miami. And people are saying that it's Floyd Mayweather's probably condo or whatever they're saying. And if Meech would just come out and be a little more honest and straight up and talking, you know, I feel like people would be more genuine and you would have more followers and people would probably.
Well, I think he is now. The problem is a lot of people assumed he was out that first year and a half and could talk about, like, even if he wanted to go in and set all this shit straight with Suarez and all that, like, he couldn't. He was still technically on paper, so he could have been violated and go back to prison. Now that I think that is done, he served his time. His deal is done. He can talk about where the fuck he wants to talk about now, which is why you have seen him pop up on a few podcasts, which is why he's making a little bit more, you know, public appearance than he was before, because he was staying relatively quiet and off the radar. I mean, he's not a dummy. You know, he's been around.
But his son's out here cooperating, and he's not talking about it, and you know, he's going in on whack 100 about it. But meanwhile, your son there's recordings of him in the back of a cop car telling on everybody.
Yeah.
And and this is my whole thing. I tell people all the time, like, you know, Gene and Owen, they're all talking about, well, I got fucked over by such and such. I'm like, you think you're the first one? You thought that just came out yesterday? Yeah. It's like the whole thing of like joining a gang and knowing what gang members do, right? And then when they're like, okay, well, here's the gun, go shoot the person. You're like, what for? Well, he fucked us out of $50. I'm not doing that. And you run to the police and tell. You know, you can't. I knew when I got into it, and I'm not no gangster. I didn't come from a big city. I wasn't growing up in this shit. But I knew as a young kid, people snitch. People rob you. Name one drug dealer that's never been robbed.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so, I got robbed, so I'm going to go fucking call the police. No, you know what they did back in the day? They fucking killed him. They went beat him up, robbed him back, or killed him, or just kept moving along. The Flores Twins said when people robbed him, they just moved along. No, they fucking didn't. He slipped and said they knew who the boss was. So you might not pulled the trigger on them, but you went back and told boss man, such and such just robbed us, and that's where all your dope is. And he's like, all right, putting a hit on him. You contributed to that hit. So don't sit here and say you wasn't violent and you didn't whatever. You fuckers are lying about everything. I asked him, what was the most memorable route that you've ever taken, that you've had? Because they talk about how genius they were at trafficking. Well, of course, El Chapo's tunnels. That's not yours. So El Chapo, what the fuck did you do? What, all you did was oversee the shipment when it got to Chicago to make sure. I asked him, I said, how the fuck you count all that money? Well, we didn't count none of it. Well, what do you mean you didn't count none of it? Oh, no, we had people that do all this stuff. I said, you trusted them with that much money? Well, no, they knew who the boss was. So it wasn't your money. So the boss controlled those people. He had his people in play. So what was your job? Like, what did you really fucking do besides the point that y'all had you overseen the connections in Chicago and DC and stuff? All you worked for El Jefe. All you was is a guy that worked and you controlled, your part was that area and you controlled the drugs going in and out. You were politicking. That's all you were doing. You were a lieutenant, or not a lieutenant, a board member of the board. You were a high-ranking board member of an organization. That's all you were. And there was somebody in between you. He tried to fuck y'all, blamed the money being stolen on you or whatever. And then they kidnapped Peter. You went to the mountain to find, you were willing to give your life for your brother to make sure you saved him, to bring the paper. El Chapo didn't know who the fuck y'all really were until this guy ousted y'all and blamed everything on you. And then you show up with this ledger and say it's not this dude. So, of course, he has to kill that guy. Well, now he has to replace. He can't get rid of you and him because then the whole operation. So he moves you up in ranks. Now you have a direct connect to El Chapo. Like, let's just be honest here. Like, quit fucking making it out like you were so smart and so intelligent you worked your way to the top. No, your guy fucked you and tried to set y'all up. You had enough balls to go and try to find him, told him that nobody ever comes back alive, and you did because you showed him a ledger and showed him how much money you bring him. Of course he's not going to kill you. You proved that you didn't do wrong and you're a fucking big player. You agree with me, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's the thing about it. You can't get into this game and be like, well, I want to be a mobster and I want to be the head of it. They killed my father and I'm scared to kill them back, so I'm going to go to the cops. Well, don't be a fucking mobster at all.
Yeah.
I'm not knocking them. I'm just saying, you knew how this game is played. Don't act surprised when it happens. That's why I tell everybody all the time, it's like, it's all fun and games till the handcuffs get put on. That's when we find out who's real.
That's what Joey Merlino says that a lot, because the one thing you got to realize about us content creators, guys like Nelson, myself, Ian, Matt, if we took a stand and said we're not going to interview anybody who cooperates, we no longer have anything to do. There's very few guys that can say they went, they did it right, they took it on the chin, they fought it, they went to jail, they done the bid, they got out. We'd interview the same motherfucker every day of the week.
No, 100%.
Because there's just not a lot of people out there that do that.
But the thing is, I agree. But Nelson, I interview everybody. I just had a guy on that was a professional cooperator, guy that got paid to do it.
Yeah.
And I wanted him to tell his story. I can't control who I buy food for at the fast restaurant. I can't control what electrician comes in my house. I can't control when I'm on a job site who routed, who didn't. So get the fuck over that. That's how I look at it. I look at it as like, I just want to know what you did. And if you're going to talk about it on social media, tell the truth. Yeah. Be honest, please. That's all I ask. Or not, I'm going to call you out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be like, that's fucking bullshit.
You got somebody's created, like, do you know who Jeff Nadeau is?
Nuh-uh.
He runs a mob podcast. I forgot. I think it's called The Sit Down. Like, he leaves and he comes back. He leaves and he comes back. And he's like, I'm no longer going to interview cooperators. And I'm just like, well, then you're not going to interview anybody. Like,
nobody.
Because the very few people that do cooperate aren't going to fuck with you now because you interviewed cooperators for fucking 5 years.
I did Red Shay's podcast.
I did too. Yeah. I like Red.
And him and Joey I showed up and him and Joey and Skinny and Red are in there doing their podcast first at the studio, right? And behind the curtain, and I hear them talking about, like, yeah, we're the only ones. And I said, don't fucking forget about me. The fuck, yeah, well, I'm a nobody now? I'm like, you little fuckers. And then they're boosting each other up, right? And then they come out, I'm like, dude, I said, how the fuck did y'all bully anybody? I beat both y'all up. I was fucking with them, and they're laughing and shit because they're tiny. And I get it because they have a lot of power and they're crazy and wild. The size don't matter. But it's just the point that I'm just cutting up. I was like, man, you came to me and tried to strong arm me, I'd laugh at you little fuckers because they're small.
Well, Red's pretty built, though. I mean, he was a boxer back in the day, wasn't he?
Probably back in the day, but he's a tiny old man now.
Well, yeah, now. I mean,
because he's older, but they were funny. We all had a good time cutting it up and stuff, dude. And, and I got Red on there because the thing is, I told Red in the comments when he wanted me on the thing, I'm like, I need your paperwork. You say you didn't cooperate, I need your paperwork. And he's like, well, I don't have it no more. I said, what gangster that went to trial don't have their fucking paperwork? Because I was like, I looked you up and I can't find it. I told him on the podcast, I'm like, I looked you up, I can't find nothing on you. I have to take your word. I'm like, I went down a rabbit hole on you. Because I was like, you took a plea deal. You didn't go to trial, you took a plea deal. So I was like, you took a plea deal and you didn't get a lot of time on something big back then. And I was like, dude, I was really wanting to look at your paperwork. And he looked at me and he's like, yeah, I figured you'd look me up. I'm like, no, I didn't. I couldn't find shit. I'm like, me being a person like you, I would have that shit right there. Be like, here you go. You want a copy emailed today or tomorrow?
Because, I mean, I never, unfortunately, I never had to go to prison. But that's like a big thing is being able to present your paperwork and making sure you're clean with that, right?
Well, yes, in prison, but out here, if you're going to go and say that you're one of the top solid guys, you should have your paperwork somewhere.
Right.
If you take a plea deal. If you go to trial, it shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
I put mine out there. I put all my shit out there. And people ask me all the time, like, Jay, why didn't you cooperate? Everybody fucked you and it's like that. I said, you know something? I knew the rules of the game. I understood them. It wasn't new to me. What it did to me, and I want you to think about this, the hurt that it did to my family, my ex, my baby girl, the hurt and the pain that it did to me, I couldn't do it to the next person. I put myself in that situation. I did it. And I kept telling myself, like, how in the fuck can you live with yourself knowing this pain? Like, this hurt. I'm still going to go to prison for 15 years. I'm going to go and give up 10 and 20 other fucking people and put them through this. And I got to live with that knowing their kids are going through it because I did something really bad and I couldn't live with it. So I want to destroy everybody else's life. Let them destroy their own fucking lives. Yeah, they're going to go down eventually. Most of them didn't. But you want to know something though? Can't blame it on me. I don't have to I don't have to lay in bed every night knowing that I destroyed and did that, because the trauma that it does to these kids, I don't wish that upon nobody's kids. And that's one of the biggest factors, you know, why. I just is like, I can't do it. They asked me, they begged me and begged me to cooperate.
Not a lot of people are built like that, Jason. They're just not. That's just, unfortunately, most people are gonna, and the government knows that. And they'll use any and everything. The government's just as evil as some of these people that we've talked about. They'll exploit it. This guy did this to you, and this guy was with your wife. I mean, they'll say and do whatever they can to get him to do it. And I'm not saying that that's okay, that they eventually give in. But the unfortunate fact is most people do. Like I said, the fact that some people like yourself and Joey and Red, those guys, there's just not many out there.
Can I tell you anything? So like Gene Burrito, okay? This guy, you talked about how much money he has and he's this and this and that, right? First off, he talks about he's on house arrest. I'm in the comments going, well, show me an ankle monitor. The fucker's not on house arrest. He used an excuse so he don't have to be called out to go meet people and you're so fucking tough. Oh, I'm on house arrest. I'm on house arrest. And I'm like, well, everybody can use that. Like, it's simple to use it. But then all of a sudden he makes videos of him walking down the road and shit. Makes videos of him doing all this other stuff. And he talks about me like, oh, I got all this money and this and that. I'm like, bitch, like, what? All I hear in the streets is that you have a girlfriend that makes good money and you mooch off of her. You live off your fucking girlfriend. You have no job. Where are you making money? You got no fucking job. Social media, your numbers are not that great. You're not making a ton of money. You have no YouTube. You have no nothing. Where the fuck are you making money? I heard from multiple sources he blows everybody up begging to get on their podcast and get paid so he can make some fucking money. And it's like, bro, dude, like, where's your, like, please show me. Like, if you're balling like that, you'd be like, okay, let me shut my haters up. Here's my bank account. Here's my shit.
He had a YouTube, and I think it got taken down.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
It wasn't that big. It wasn't making that kind of money.
No, I mean, I don't know how big it was. He waited forever to start it. Like, a lot of people told him, like, if you're going to go on all these other platforms and create this controversy and be this lightning rod for controversy, why don't you just make a YouTube yourself? He finally listened to it like maybe a year ago. And then I want to say it was something with the whole Fat Joe thing where he was going at Fat Joe, and that led to it getting
I love
taken
all the
down.
rats going after each other's rats. Like, that blows my mind. I'm like, where did this world come to when rats are exposing rats? It just goes to show you they're bitter. Really fucking bitter. They're like, fuck you, bitch, I'm bringing you down. If I got to live with a rat and read my comments, you're going to read yours too. And I'm like, God, let them eat each other. I'm like, this shit's funny as hell to me.
Because A-Light done it first. He made a video going after Fat Joe, and then maybe 2 or 3 weeks after that, he got raided by the feds.
But
And
here we
goes
go
to jail.
again. Here we go again. This is what dude, if you're going to cooperate, shut the fuck up, sit down and go on with your life.
Yeah.
Do exactly why you did it. They all do it because they can't do the time and they want to change their life, right? What the fuck you on social media out here trying to act like a gangster and threaten people in the DMs? John A. Light, he says he told because he got fucked over, right? No, you didn't. You told to get out to do the same thing again. Let's just be honest. So you just destroyed everybody's lives and want everybody else to lose everything they got so you can get back out and be a criminal. I'd say over 60% of people that cooperate only cooperate to get back out to do it again. They don't do it for the reason. They do it just to get back out. And that's where I have a problem. So you're getting out to destroy more lives, to set more people up because you're the root of evil. So my co-defendant, Zach, he created it and he took it all down to get the best deal. Okay? So he learned that he can make a lot of money, have a lot of fun, be the biggest guy, and he's going to run and become the biggest cooperator. He can cooperate on everybody, take the whole organization, everybody down to get the less amount of time and make everybody else pay for him. So he creates this thing. So he learned that now he can get back out of prison and create something again and use everybody as his pawn. So he'll be the head of it that makes the most money, has most fun, and then when it comes time to pay, he understands how to take the whole system down to get the least amount of time. And then he does it all off the backs of everybody else. And that's where I have a huge fucking problem. John A. Light, okay? This dude is out here and everybody wants to make you out believe. My sources are telling me because John had something going on here. Gene is in the indictment. He's in the paperwork. Gene's in the paperwork. I got a phone call the other day that Gene was trying to cooperate, but they didn't want to use his cooperation. It wasn't good enough, so he's not going to get credit on this case that he's trying to get out and beating his girlfriends up. I mean, if we want to, listen. So
he was trying to cooperate against A-Light?
Yeah. He's trying to cooperate against A-Light.
Whoa. Because
A-Light has some business down here in Fort Lauderdale. Who do you think is taking care of it? How do you think probably Gene's been able to survive this long and how he's paying for his thing is like that because Gene is taking care of some of his stuff for him? How much you want to bet on that? How do you afford to live in an apartment in Miami with no job? He was not a big gangster. He didn't have a lot of money back then. He went to federal prison. You lost everything. He did a good amount of time in prison. Nobody held on his money. He has no fucking money. His mom don't have no money. Everybody says he has no money. So you're going to tell me everybody else gets out of prison that was way bigger than you, is broke or living a hard life, and you're just saying you're living in Miami in a condo and living big with no, like, and you're begging people for fucking money? Like, get the fuck out of here. So, no, you're probably working for John or somebody, and they're paying you this money. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got something going on. But at the end of the day, John is out here doing this dumb shit. And now everybody's surprised, like, oh man, like, oh, you like, it's all, no, it's not, dude. The dude knew what he was doing. Okay. He's back out here doing it. The dude's probably going to do a lot of time because they don't want to hear his shit no more.
Well, it's probably going to be worse because now he was a politician.
Mm-hmm.
He was, I forgot the
city councilman.
Yeah. Councilman in New Jersey. So you're the councilman in New Jersey, and you're saying you're on the straight and narrow, straight and path. You're not involved in that life anymore. And now you got these charges coming up against you. It's going to be worse for him.
Yeah, it's going to be worse. So, you know what's so funny is that somebody came in my comments about Gene Borrello and said that, go ahead and state all the people you beat up and all the people you shot. Like, let's hear the names. Is it Karen, Nancy, Susan, Jessica, Ashley? Because you got a list of women you beat up. We already know their fucking names, so why don't you say their names? Like, the dude is so tough that he beats up on all these women. You know what I'm saying? Like, how are you going to sit here and be tough, but then all your charges of battery is all on women? Like, get the fuck out of here, dude. You like beating up women. So, you know, I work hard. I hustle. I do all kinds of stuff. And let me tell you something. You don't ever hear me talking about how much money I got or I'm doing really fucking good. Listen, it's fucking hard out here.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not struggling, but I will tell you this. It is not easy to do it the right way. It's not easy these days to do it, period. I mean, I just bought my daughter, not many people can say it, I just bought my daughter a Mercedes-Benz, brand new, a nice one. It. You know, I buy other stuff. I don't post all my stuff. I don't. I just purchased another brand new vehicle, a 2026, fully loaded. So, I mean, like, I have stuff. But I bust my fucking ass. I own my own little business, you know, Dope Boy Empire. You know, I'm pushing my brand. I got other stuff. I do consulting. I do all kinds of shit. I'm making money all over the place.
You're a hustler. I'm
a hustler. I got money coming in, and I doing stuff, and I'm not living as good as these other people supposedly say they are. So I know it's smoke and mirrors. Mm-hmm. I'm just an honest, brutal type guy. I try to be straight up. But at the end of the day, all I want people to do is just tell your story however the fuck you want to tell it. But at the end, just tell the truth. That's all I'm asking. Because I was that fucking kid that believed it. And I almost got a life sentence because I believed these fucking people. And it hits me. Nate talked to me the other day and was like, Jason, you going after all these fucking people? Like, I don't even watch it. I love your content, but I don't really watch it. Why don't you talk about the comeback story? Why don't you talk about how life is now and how great it is and what you've done and all that stuff? I said, Nate, let me explain something to you. I said, if I can save one kid's life, educate him. I said, I did with my heart because I was that kid. So it's a passion. I don't care about the money. I don't care about none of it. But it's at the point that if I can get to one kid or two kids and keep them from getting a life sentence because some fucking Guido and these fake-ass motherfuckers out here got on here. Owen Hansen every day paints his picture, and he just makes it sound so whatever. And he doesn't want to tell everybody. That fucking clip, go back to how excited he got. Oh, do I? Like, he couldn't wait to fucking cooperate. I mean, he came out of that fucking seat with the biggest smile, came out like, do I? I can only imagine when the government finally came to him. It was like, hey, do you want to cooperate? Do you want to get a time cut? And he was like, he couldn't come out of that fucking chair fast enough. Why don't he have that same energy when he's talking about it? Educating these kids. He doesn't ever talk about it. All he wants to talk about how much money he was making, what he was doing, and this and that. But he doesn't want to talk about the reality. And it's so funny. The Flores Twins called him out. It was like, bro, we were making $10 million a month. You were making a fucking $1 million a day. And his wife, Flores' wife, was laughing like, baby, what were you doing wrong? I should have married him or whatever.
It is a lot of hypocrisy.
It doesn't end. This shit just doesn't end.
So are you going to stop going after these people, or that's your niche now? You found it. You're going to go.
It's not my niche. I
think it is.
Nah,
Well, you excel at it, even if you don't want it to be.
yes, I excel at it.
You're good at it.
I literally get bored with it after 2 or 3 days fucking with them, and then something new will fire up, or they'll come after me. Nelson, I show Nelson all the time. I'm like, Nelson, I've left him alone. Look what he just sent me. Nelson's like, they just don't want to learn, do they? I really, truly, honestly believe they use it to get back in the spotlight.
Yeah.
I feel like they come after me because Gene 1 minute wants to fight me. Next minute, he's trying to be my friend. And then the next time he blocks me. He reported my page.
Yeah.
Josh is another one.
That's Doc TV?
Doc TV.
Okay.
This fucking guy lies like no other. He's trying to get guests not to come on my podcast. Trying to hold it against him not to come on. So the guy calls Matt. Matt's like, I don't care. Go on Jason's podcast. Go on it. Josh he docks my address, and I'm like, bro, you're already behind Jake. Like, well, you fuck. I'm like, what are you doing? I said, you're doxing my mom's address. That's my mom's address. First off, I'm like, she's not going to be too happy. I'm like, you might have to worry about that one because that has nothing to do with me. So he takes it down, and then he starts lying, saying that Matt. The reason why he hates me and is mad at me is because Matt spent a lot of time with me, helped me with my podcast. He's never helped me. Never helped me. Never spent no time. I went on his podcast. That's it. Nothing else. And that's why, because I went after him, and he starts talking all this stuff, and he can't stand it. Let's just get to the truth. You just can't accept it that your fucking story and what you're doing is not working, and that they don't like. As soon as somebody starts coming after me that I don't know nothing about, I automatically, first thing comes to my mind is what's in his closet that he's hiding. Mm-hmm. Because these people want to shut me down and shut me up so bad. He said, I'm going to shut him down. He'll never be able to talk bad about nobody ever again. Why are you so concerned? Is there something in the rabbit hole that you want me to know? So then I go down, I'm like, what's his name? We couldn't find his fucking name. Why are you hiding your name? How long did it take you to find it? 5 minutes. So we find his name. We start running all his reports. It's bad. So this whole story about this girl that supposedly came on his couch and it all fell apart and she wrote a thing. Why did you take a plea deal to go to prison for over a year? Why did you not go to trial and fight it? Why did you accept to have it on your charge, on your record, and go to prison for that for over a year if you didn't do it? Because you did do it. The grandfather that raised him, because nobody else did, he fucking beat him up twice and got charged twice for it. This is the same guy that laughs on Matthew Cox, because Aaron did a piece on it.
Yeah.
About how he was laughing about how he stole the money jar at the sheriff's department or somewhere of a fundraiser for a fallen soldier or a fallen cop, and was laughing out like, hey guys, I feel really bad. This is the problem that I have. Like, guys, I'm a fucking scumbag. Like, I literally stole the fucking thing. He's like, bro, I stole that fucking thing, man. I took that damn money, man. And I'm like, I called Poet. I said, Poet, don't ever fucking ask me to go on somebody's podcast like that again. I said, I'd rather go on fucking Matt's before I go on that one. I can't respect that. I'm sorry. Like, this dude wants to, and they're like, yeah, but he did a whole story talking about his crimes. And I said, I was the fucking president too. You didn't know I was the president? They're like, you wasn't? I'm like, well, then how do you know his story? So it's me telling it. Mm-hmm. Why don't he bring the facts? Why don't he bring the paperwork and bring it all and let it all fucking fold out? How do you believe somebody that wants to bring their own narrative?
Yeah. Because I think largely anybody's that's going to create a narrative, they're not going to paint themselves in a bad light, or most people aren't anyway. That's what I say when a documentary gets showed, it's all about who produces the documentary of who you're going to believe. If the documentary is of the accused, you're going to believe the accused is probably innocent. If the documentary is from the law enforcement perspective, you're going to believe that he probably did it. It just depends on whose narrative you're
This
coming
dude has been in trouble so much. He literally talks about, I ain't no rat. And then I'll show you the text messages. He reports my channel and gets it taken down for a little bit. And he's like, I got your channel taken down. Bitch, you don't got no channel no more. I got you. I'm like, so you admit that you ratted? Yeah, I did. And I'm like, well, why don't you go look again? My channel's still up and running. I don't know what channel you're talking about you took down, but it's still running. Like, I'll send you a message from it. Unblock me, pussy, and quit blocking me. He blocks me and then reports my channel all the time and continues to keep doing this. And I'm like, what is wrong with this dude? Then he threatens me, and then he's talking about wanting to fight me, but I have to come to his house, to his apartment to fight him. I'm like, you contacted me. I didn't contact you. I don't know who you are. You contacted me. So why are you... He picked a fight with me this time, didn't he? He came in your comments talking shit about me, didn't he? Nelson.
He's got his headphones on.
So he came to in his Nelson's post. He came in Nelson's post and started coming after me. I didn't pick a fight with this guy. But then they all painted out like all I do is go around and pick fights with everybody.
Well, I think a lot of people like what you do. I really do. I think a lot of people appreciate somebody that brings to light what other people don't. It's going to create controversy, which is not necessarily a bad thing these days. What that quote that kind of makes me think of you and what you're doing with this is, I'm sure you've seen the movie Carlito's Way.
Yes.
With Al Pacino, where he goes, "I don't invite this shit; it just comes to me." That's kind of like, what I
Make that
picture
a
when
shirt.
it's-
I need it.
Yeah.
Make that a
Instead
shirt.
of Carlitos, put you on there. I don't invite this shit; it just comes to me. And you can have that one for free, though. You can.
I'll tell you, because I've done a few pieces on people, and now all of a sudden it just comes to me now.
Yeah.
It's like I got the title without even asking for the title.
Yeah. Well, I think when you can dive in and you can bring out those facts, people appreciate it and people want it. That's why I would like for you to dig into the whole Cuffy Meach situation and see what you can find out.
I've stayed away from the Meach thing because BMF is the one that got me plugged in with the 50 Cent people.
Right.
I got some really close friends that were BMF.
Yeah.
And it's a respect thing, but I will dive down into it. I'm going to go into it because if Terry and Meach got the same amount of time on their sentencing, that's the only way, because I've dived down every other way and I cannot find it.
I've never heard anybody bring that point up. That's a great
because
point.
You have to think different than everybody. Like,
because if Terry's name is nothing with Tammy.
Yep.
So if they got the identical thing, the only thing different is that Terry got out for health reasons.
But that's separate.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the reduction in the sentencing rules.
Correct.
When the rules got changed, if one got more than the other,
the other one should have got. That's different.
They're both supposed to get the same. They're on the same fucking case.
Yeah,
they fall under the same everything. They took the same plea deals.
I'm going to be looking into that. That's a great point.
So, this is why I tell people all the time, you got to think outside the box. You have to look at things different. I process things differently. But what is tell the viewers what everybody says about me. Like when the subject gets brought up of me in comments or whatever. Like, I want to people that don't know why you're interviewing me today, fill them in.
I mean, obviously I think anytime somebody is coming across like this, they're going to take it as you're attacking the people. But that's why I want to have you on, because it's not that you're attacking them. A lot of them, they've come at you in most cases, and you're just bringing out what they don't talk about. So that's why I wanted to have you on to do this, because look, people attacking people on social media and all this, that's not new. But it's new the way newer the way you're doing it. There's been people that do it before, but the way you're doing it is different. And I think it's your niche, whether you want it to be or not.
You don't see me saying, like, if this was back in the day, I'd handle it differently and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
I don't do that. I just say, hey, like, I just call a spade a spade. And a lot of people can't handle it. Yeah. No personal. I don't threaten them. I don't go in my comments and start threatening them. I mean, I fuck with Burrito a little bit. I'd be like, hey, bro, I'm in Miami. I'm at this thing. I'll take you to dinner. But I'm just trolling him. You know what I'm saying? Like, at the end of the day, I'll be honest with you. Burrito is not harm. He does not fear. I do not get any harm from him at all. Like, to me, he's harmless. Like, I wouldn't worry about him. I would walk in front of him because that's how he is not. He better hope. I'll tell you. Nelson's heard some phone calls that I won't repeat it on here. And I don't brag about them. I don't talk about them. But I will tell you one thing. If you're going to take me out, you better take me out. People in prison will tell you, I didn't go around looking for fights, but if you wanted it, we were going to get it. However the fuck we got it. Because if I'm willing to give my life, do a life sentence, don't think I'm not willing to give it to.
100%. We've been at it almost 2 hours, man. I know you mentioned earlier something about making that a shirt. You want to let everybody know about your Dope Boy Empire stuff, websites and all that before we get out of here, and where everybody can find you?
Listen, guys, Dope Boy Empire was created because Dope Boy mindset. It's all about a mindset. It's all about creating what Dope Boys create. We take a product that you can't advertise, push, or make a billboard or a business front with a name on it, and we make it successful. It's all about a mindset. It's a hustle that you can't buy, you can't purchase. It's in you. And the thing that a lot of people don't understand about Dope Boys is that once we usually come out of prison, we're usually very successful because we take that same business mentality. Because if you can push a product without being able to advertise it, think about what you can do when you can advertise it. Dope Boy is a brand. We're building tons of branches under it. Dope Boy is the main thing. We've got comeback with warrants. We got retired Dope Boy lines. I got the pills, the Coke. I've got the weed symbols on them. So depending what brand business you were in, I've coming out with a faith base. All the quotes that I've heard in prison, I'm coming out with all of those. We're coming out with so many different lines inside this brand. It's all going to be under. It's going to be the brand for the criminal. So we got stuff for females too. It's going to be a great brand. We're building it. I don't want to drop too much stuff all at once, but it's going to be the to-go-to website when you're looking for anything in this genre.
Nice. And where do they go to find you on all your social medias?
It's 8UpJ, Jason Votrobek. You put any of those things, it's the number 8 UPJAY. Like I said, you put that in or Jason Votrobek, it pops up everywhere.
10-4, brother. We'll put all that links to it in the show notes of the comments. And it's been a fire episode. You still owe me part 2 with the whole pill game, but I think we had to get this in because of everything that's been going on. So I appreciate you coming on.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that'll do it for this episode of Crime and Entertainment. We'll see you next week.